FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Stacey Lynn. Lawmakers are getting closer to a vote on the final passage of what President Trump calls his big, beautiful bill, after a group of House Republican holdouts agreed to allow the bill to come to the floor. Majority Leader Steve Scalise pushing the naysayers.
They don't want to give people back their money. They want to keep that power in Washington. That's really what's at stake here. That's the big fight.
But Democrat Hakeem Jeffries says the bill will hurt American people.
This bill represents the largest cut to health care in American history. It's an all-out assault.
CBS's Jared Hill on what the president had to say about the delay in getting the bill passed.
Overnight, President Trump railed against the holdup on social media, posting, "For Republicans, this should be an easy yes vote. Ridiculous," adding, "MAGA is not happy, and it's costing you votes."
President wants the bill on his desk to be signed by tomorrow. Police say 4 people have died after a mass shooting outside a Chicago nightclub. Darius Johnson is with CBS News, Chicago.
A city source confirms to me that 3 shooters pulled up in a black SUV and opened fire as people were leaving an album release party, as many of them were pouring out of this lounge.
14 other people were injured. Sean Diddy Combs will stay behind bars while he awaits his sentencing on sex crime charges. Legal analyst Lori Levinson on the judge's decision.
The prosecutors argued in a brief letter to the court that Sean Diddy Combs should not be released on bond pending his sentencing because, in fact, he's been convicted of a crime of violence.
Sentencing's been set for October 3rd. Our Michael Wallace reports that top FDA officials rejected the broad use of 2 COVID vaccines, overruling agency experts.
The FDA scientists had approved new vaccines by Novavax and Moderna for anyone 12 and older, after clinical trials showed they were safe and effective. But the agency's new chief medical and scientific officer, Dr. Vinay Prasad, says the vaccines could cause health problems that have yet to be discovered. He says for people under 65, only those with certain medical conditions should be eligible for the new shots.
The June jobs report comes out this morning, a day early because of the holiday. Business analyst Joe Schlesinger with what we can anticipate.
It's expected that the economy created about 115 to maybe 130,000 jobs in the month of June. This would continue a trend of a slowdown in job growth, though we haven't seen outright layoffs start to rise in a substantial way.
The trade wars, federal hiring freeze, and immigration crackdown all impacting the hiring slowdown. This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
It is 6:03, and right now in downtown St. Louis, we have sunshine, 70 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. The news is sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. Leading our news this morning, an unprecedented string of damaging storms this spring, costing Missouri time and money. Governor Mike Kehoe gave an update on efforts to help counties affected by flooding, wildfires, tornadoes, 18 counties plus the city of St. Louis. Kehoe extended the state of emergency through the end of August, noting severe storms and flooding in southwest Missouri over the weekend.
As far as St. Louis City, Governor Kehoe says $100 million was allocated to the Department of Public Safety to help St. Louis City, along with more than $22 million in federal and state emergency management assistance provided to more than 4,600 families. The National Guard, he says, helped haul hundreds of dump truck loads to landfills, the equivalent of 200 football fields piled 1 foot high with debris.
I'm Michael Calhoun. Chesterfield-based Bunge Global closes a deal to become one of the world's biggest traders and processors of crops that go into foods and fuel. The $34 billion purchase of Viterra of the Netherlands means Bunge is now closer in size to giant rivals Cargill and Archer Daniels Midland.
This transformation creates new opportunities across our supply chains, building the premier agribusiness solutions company for the 21st century.
That's Bunge's CEO Greg Heckman in a company-produced video. The acquisition especially bolsters Bunge's grain and oilseed businesses in the U.S. and its processing of wheat in Canada and Australia.
A former mayor of Grafton, Illinois, has died. Tom Thompson served 8 years in office and was once appointed by a governor to serve on the Central Port District's board. He also joined with nearly 24 other mayors in 2012 to form the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative, which still exists today. Thompson was 84.
A report finds mental health issues, including substance abuse, to be a top cause of pregnancy-related deaths.
The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services says a study of the 350 pregnancy-related deaths between 2018 and 2022 found the mortality rate for Black women is more than twice as high as the ratio for white women, but had improved compared to earlier reports. Researchers say 80% of the deaths during that 4-year period were preventable. Sue Danielson, Missouri Net.
This 4th of July, the St. Louis City Police Department is planning on issuing citations to parents of juveniles arrested with fireworks.
St. Louis City Police spokesman Mitch McCoy says they came to this decision to target parents after numerous conversations following last year's chaos downtown.
We felt as a department that this was the most appropriate and leveled response to ensure that we are keeping our community safe, but we are also holding parents responsible for being bad parents.
Amongst the citations McCoy says parents will face include contributing to the delinquency of a minor, discharging fireworks, and not picking up their child from the juvenile detention center in 45 minutes. The punishments for these range from fines to imprisonment. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Organizers are gearing up for another big 4th of July celebration near the Gateway Arch. This year's event lasts 2 days. Fireworks displays both tonight and tomorrow night. Celebrate St. Louis Chair Tim Mears telling KMOX's Chris and Amy there's no charge to attend, but plan to pay for parking.
The easiest way to park for this event is to come down like you're going to come to a Cardinals game. All the parking garages in and around Keener Plaza. You're just a block away from the Arch grounds and come on down.
The top musical acts are Russell Dickerson tonight, Gavin DeGraw Friday night. Mears says there will be a special drone show prior to the Friday night fireworks to coincide with the upcoming release of a new Superman movie.
After dark, you may see a stripe of white moving through your yard. It's likely a skunk trying to feed her young.
This is an active time of year for skunks. They've just had their litters. Drew Wallace with Critter Control in St. Louis tells KMOX they like to nest under patios and decks, which puts them very close to the house.
Especially in a spot like that where it's right against the foundation of your house, to where if they spray underneath there, it could, depending on if it hits a wall and it's really concentrated, it could easily last weeks or months.
Wallace says they can return year to year, but typically only live 2 to 3 years in the wild. If you want them off your property, he does recommend finding a professional who can humanely encourage them to move on and install deterrents so they don't try to make your property their home again. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
I'm Maria Aquino with the KMOX exclusive interview with a former employee of St. Louis County Animal Care and Control.
That's coming up after we check traffic and weather. It is 6:08.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
O'Reilly. Save money on your next full synthetic oil change at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get a $15 prepaid MasterCard after rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for just $35.95. We can recommend all the oil change supplies you need. Shop your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store or O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
All right, so NBC News in their online story about Chuck's listed St. Louis as a location. There is not a Chuck's location.
We checked.
Did my homework. Chuck E. Cheese, yes, of course you know that. But the Chuck's Arcade does not exist in St. Louis. The closest one would be Kansas City. But remember, you got all kinds of options here. Dave & Buster's, the Uptown in the Central West End, which is the old Balaban's Herbie's. That is now an arcade. I don't know if you knew that. There's Silver Ballroom in Bevo Mill. There's Session Taco in Kirkwood has an arcade. So there are arcades, Roger, is basically what I'm telling you. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
That's right. And there's gosh, I wish I could remember the name of it because I just didn't think about it now.
People
but there's
will start calling them in, yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's sort of like a pinball museum, but it's you can go there and play though. It's
in
St.
St. Charles. Oh,
yeah,
Fenton.
well, there's one in Fenton too. So yeah, there's
True.
a lot of places.
Yeah,
like
Blueberry
Silver
Hill's
Ballrooms.
got a nice little section there as well. So
Yeah. So there's lots of places you can get your fix. That's for sure. Not the places when I was a kid, but they're still around. So maybe not the same games either. It's been a long time. Highways are looking good out there for you right now. If you're heading in and out on northbound 55 through McNutt, through the stretch north of Revis, I think this is going to be more like a Friday morning. Lighter traffic on a Friday, and it's a holiday week, so some folks may have already taken the whole week off. It hasn't been that bad, really, all this week, but right now we look great on both sides of the river. No delays anywhere for you on the interstates. Next update at 6:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX AccuWeather, mostly sunny today and becoming hot this afternoon with a high of 93, but AccuWeather real fuel temperature will reach the upper 90s. Clear and warm tonight, though 73. Independence Day will be sunny and hot with a high of 93 and real feels in the upper 90s. For Saturday, sunshine, some clouds, and very hot, high 97, real feels topping 100. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, it's partly cloudy and 70 degrees in downtown St. Louis, and the weather sponsored by Chuck's Boots, the Midwest's largest boot stores. Boots for every walk of life. Rugged work boots, stylish fashion, comfortable hiking boots, cowboy classics, uniform boots, and motorcycle gear. Chuck's Boots in Fenton and St. Peters, chucksboots.com.
Well, it was a bad day for Clayton-based health insurer Centene. Its stock dropped 39% on Wednesday. The company believes annual earnings could be much lower than previously predicted. That's because of fewer healthy people enrolling in insurance.
What's left now that the more healthy people are no longer enrolling is a less healthy population, which of course is bad news for the insurers. Because Centene's the largest player in the healthcare exchange space, they're getting the hardest hit.
As well as likely federal Medicaid cuts.
This stock's already falling apart, and that piece of legislation hasn't even been signed into law yet.
That's Jim Kramer from CNBC, says Medicaid cuts could further dramatically shrink Centene's customer base.
Exclusively on KMOX, we've spoken with a former St. Louis County animal care and control officer who resigned because he says he could no longer take the toxic work environment at the shelter.
As KMOX reported this week, ACC passed state inspection and was granted a license again. However, this is not the end of the story. The St. Louis County Council will call more witnesses that they subpoenaed to answer questions about the parvovirus outbreak, the euthanasias of 19 dogs, a lack of qualified staff, and ongoing overcrowding issues. KMOX talked with Clinton Wall, who says while he loved his job and working with animals, the decision not to hire kennel staff and use animal care and control officers for that job left the roads of St. Louis County without ACOs, and that was a concern of his. Wall says when he returned from paternity leave, he was made temporary kennel supervisor because that job was vacant. This was done during the parvovirus outbreak.
I was in meetings. We had morning meetings every day about what we were doing about to control the parvo, how many, positive tests we had the day before or that morning. I was in those meetings, but in no way, shape, or form was I ever on the committee, so to speak, of what dogs should be euthanized or not euthanized.
Did Dr. Cunningham know about it?
I don't know how she didn't.
Because she denies that she ever did. But Dr. Pernikoff, in testimony before the St. Louis County Council, said that Dr. Burris, her deputy director, was there throughout all of those meetings and conversations.
And so was Billy Rucker. they were in the building. If those two report to Dr. Cunningham, I find it very hard to believe that she didn't know that animals were getting euthanized.
Former veterinary medical director Dr. Doug Pernikoff was relieved of his duties. Billy Rucker was the chief operating officer who Wall says was only supposed to be at ACC through August and then go back to his regular St. Louis County job. Wall also alleges ACOs have been advised not to pick up dogs because of the shelter overcrowding, and he says that 2 more ACOs quit on Tuesday and that now there is only 1 animal care officer to patrol all of St. Louis County. That's something Public Health Director Dr. Kanika Cunningham denied to KMOX. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
I'm Tom Ackerman. Baseball history made last night in Los Angeles.
The ravine rises, ready to erupt.
3,000 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw, the longtime pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, a former MVP, a 3-time Cy Young Award winner. He has joined the club. Correspondent Geffen Coolbaugh now with the story.
Kershaw waited until his final pitch to join one of baseball's most exclusive clubs. The 37-year-old longtime Los Angeles Dodgers ace became the 20th pitcher in MLB history to record 3,000 career strikeouts on Wednesday against the White Sox, striking out Vinny Capra on his 100th pitch of the night to end the 6th inning. The game was paused to honor Kershaw, who embraced members of his team and tipped his hat to the crowd. Kershaw is the 4th left-hander to reach 3,000 strikeouts and only the 3rd player to do so with one franchise. I'm Geffen Coolbaugh.
It was a difficult series for the Cardinals, to say the least. They were shut out 3 consecutive times by the Pittsburgh Pirates, losing yesterday 5-0 in a game that saw the Cardinals struggle to bring a run home. They got some hits, got some runners in scoring position. The first game, 0 runners in scoring position, losing 7-0. The second game, not a bad game, but losing anyway, 1-0, in a tremendous performance by Andre Pallante, who threw a 1-hitter over his 7 innings. But yesterday, the Cardinals looked completely out of gas. No excuses. Here's manager Oliver Marmol on FanDuel Sports Network Midwest.
To try us out. Times got Newt. Those are 3 key parts to our offense, and when you don't have them, it's tough to score. I felt like we actually put some decent swings on the ball today. We just couldn't find grass. I mean, everything we hit found the glove, and with those guys not in the lineup, it made it that much tougher.
What did you think of Sonny, who looked like he had really found his rhythm right before he got into the 7th?
I felt like he did a really nice job all the way throughout, especially on 5-day rest. And I mean, for him to go 9 and then give us what he did today, I mean, that's giving us a real shot. We just an ability to score runs.
Tough day for Ollie Marmol on his 39th birthday. The Cardinals have the day off today, and tomorrow they get after it at Wrigley Field. Maybe they're saving up the runs for that one. 1:20 start against the Cubs in a massive series this weekend. The Cardinals are 5 games out in the National League Central. Energizer Park was hopping last night, mostly Guatemalan fans, as Guatemala scored in the second half, but it wasn't enough. The United States, 2 goals from Diego Luna, and they advanced to the Gold Cup final with a 2-1 win over Guatemala at Energizer Park. The Blues have landed their second-line center they coveted. Pia Suter signs a 2-year deal with the team. Former Vancouver Canucks scored 25 goals last season. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
Just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Your morning news and information. Total Information AM.
It is 6:20. It's time to get you updated on your ride in this morning. For many of you, the start, or at least the last day before a big 3-day holiday weekend. Roger Brand is joining us. Maybe some people are already taking time off. I don't know. But Roger's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, it's a holiday week, so some folks, take the week off. You get 5 days for the price of 4. So this week's been lighter in general, but today I'd sort of treat it more like a Friday, which Friday mornings tend to be very light. This traffic report service of McKelvey Homes. Oh, by the way, I did just do a little homework, and the pinball place I was trying to remember, the Lazarus Pinball Museum. It's in downtown Fenton. Yeah, Lazarus Pinball Museum. It's in downtown Fenton on Old Gravois. They're right behind the Hardys. So folks know downtown, the historic part of Fenton. It's right there. It's been open, I think, about a year.
You think my wife would let me get a pinball machine for the basement of the garage?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a pinball machine. I still want one, but I've got one of these. It's like a coffee table or an end table that has the arcade games in it, the computer games like Donkey Kong.
There you go.
Ms. Pac-Man, everything. It's got like
nice.
60 games. Yeah, that's in my basement. So I still get it fixed that way. But yeah, Lazarus Pinball Museum is one of those spots. But like I said, the highways are good to go. We do have one incident. It's in the city right now, 5100 block of Wells. The fire department's on the scene. They said fire throughout the building, but it is a vacant building. That's Wells right near Academy on the north side of the city. But like I said, interstate-wise, light traffic, we're good to go on both sides of the river right now. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's going to be a warm night for the fireworks downtown. We'll give you the forecast upcoming.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Fireworks under the arch tonight. It'll be a low of 73, clear and warm. Hot one today, high of 93, feels like the upper 90s. Tomorrow, even warmer, sunshine and hot. Real feels in the upper 90s again. Saturday's the hottest day of the weekend. High of 97. Real feels over 100. Might get a thunderstorm on Sunday afternoon with a high of 91 degrees. Right now we have sun, a clear sky. It's 70 downtown at the Arch.
It is 6:23, and the news continues on KMOX with President Trump's July 4th deadline inching closer for the passage of his spending bill. House Speaker Mike Johnson is working to convince last-second Republican holdouts to vote in favor.
We can't make everyone 100% happy. It's impossible. This is a deliberative body. It's a legislative process.
Speaker Johnson is joining other GOP leaders to try and convince Republican holdouts, many of them members of the Freedom Caucus, to vote for the version passed by the Senate earlier this week.
All of us have to give up on our personal preferences. I never going to ask anybody to compromise core principles, but preferences must be yielded for the greater good.
President Trump also spending the day doing some arm twisting, meeting at the White House with some of those potential Republican no votes, urging any holdouts on social media to do the right thing, saying, quote, "We can have all of this right now, but only if the House GOP unites and ignores its occasional grandstanders." In a sign of potential problems for Speaker Johnson and the president, two Freedom Caucus members, Chip Roy of Texas and Ralph Norman of South Carolina, voted with Democrats against allowing the bill to come out of the Rules Committee. Even as he touts the spending plan, Republican Ryan Zinke admits there are issues.
If you're a fiscal hawk on one side, you're probably not satisfied. If you're moderate on the other side, you're not satisfied. Right. So overall, I think this is the best we can do at the moment.
Democrats like House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries are urging Republican holdouts to stand their ground.
And all we need are 4 Republicans, just 4, to show John McCain level courage. Just 4. There are 220 of them. All we need are 4.
Democratic Congresswoman Catherine Clark says the bill lines the pockets of the wealthy at the expense of the poor.
So at a time when most households are struggling to afford the basics, Republicans have a clear message for American families. You don't matter.
Republican leaders are urging House members to vote on the Senate version and are against making changes that would require senators to come back to Washington and cast another vote. There's no indication yet when the House will vote. John Stolnis, Washington.
Governor Pritzker isn't mincing words when it comes to what the bill could cost the state of Illinois. WBBM's Andy Dane.
Once the governor and Christian Mitchell, his new running mate and lieutenant governor hopeful, finished chatting with customers here inside Peach's restaurant, he quickly turned his attention to what he referred to as the big, terrible bill and its threats to the Affordable Care Act.
We're going to have closed hospitals, hundreds of thousands of people in Illinois without health care coverage because of the bill in Washington. We're going to do everything we can to preserve health care, but there's no way we can make up for billions of dollars that they're taking away.
However, the governor told reporters he and his colleagues in Springfield have time to prepare since many of the bill's changes wouldn't take effect for a number of months.
We're going to have to evaluate the bill when it's all done. I think it's going to go through another round of amendments in the House, so we'll have to see.
During debate on Wednesday, Missouri Republican Jason Smith defended the spending bill against Democratic critics who say it benefits only the wealthiest at the expense of the poor and middle class.
It's for the people who don't have lobbyists in this town, the farmers, the welders, the waitresses, the nurses pulling double shifts, the truck drivers hauling goods across this country, the folks who work hard, play by the rules, and ask only for a fair shot and a government that works for them, not against them.
Pretty little baby, you say that
Singer Connie Francis, whose music has seen a recent surge in popularity thanks to social media, has been hospitalized. The 87-year-old said in a social media post she is undergoing tests to figure out what is causing her extreme pain. She was already dealing with a hip injury that forced her to cancel a scheduled performance on the 4th of July. Her song, Pretty Little Baby, has racked up millions of listens so far this year, more than 6 decades after it was first recorded.
You know why? People are using it on TikTok.
Of course.
So, yeah, it's been stuck in my head for weeks now. A soccer star has died in a car accident in Spain.
That's called Diogo Jota goal. Brilliant ball by Liverpool's captain.
The Spanish Civil Guard says the Liverpool and Portugal forward was in a car with his younger brother, Andre Silva, who played for a lower division Portuguese club. Investigators believe they blew a tire, lost control, and crashed. The car then caught fire. Jota helped lead Liverpool to the Premier League title earlier this year. He married his longtime girlfriend 2 weeks ago. They had 3 children together. Diogo Jota was 28. His brother was 26. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
6:28 time check, sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. This is National Cancer Survivor Awareness Month, and we are joined by Dr. Lindsay Peterson, WashU medical oncologist with Siteman Cancer Center. Dr. Peterson, thank you very much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Cancer survivorship, what does that mean?
It's interesting because I think a lot of people think of cancer survivorship as something that starts when you've completed your cancer journey or your cancer treatment journey. And in reality, we think of a cancer survivor as someone from the minute that they're diagnosed with cancer. And there are different phases of cancer survivorship. We look at the first phase, which is essentially during your active treatment. And then there's a second phase that comes as you're sort of moving from the active treatment to more of a follow-up stage. And then there's a more permanent stage, which is essentially living with life after cancer.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome.
You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Just dial pound 250 on your phone and say the keyword windows. That's pound 250 keyword windows, or head to rbastl.com.
It is 6:30 and it's a nice morning. Get out there and enjoy it while it's still cool. 70 degrees and partly cloudy now in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. 90 minutes into the show, 30 minutes into our video stream on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Thanks for joining us there. And Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
So, Tom, the highways continue to cruise along. It is, well, we're going to consider it a Friday morning, basically, because most folks aren't going to be working the 4th of July. So the Friday mornings tend to be lighter, and they are right now. I do see a little bit of a slowdown northbound 55 between Bayless and Weber, but you get past that point, you're good to go. And it still looks good down south coming up through the A area into McNutt and Highway Z in that construction zone. 64 between Winghaven and K. Nothing bothering you there. 270 at Ladue, everything looks fine. Downtown, we look great. Westbound across the Poplar and Musial Veterans Bridges. Again, roadwork of the temporary variety. It'll be picked up on the Missouri side. MoDOT will have it wrapped up by noon today. I haven't got the official word from IDOT, but usually on the holidays, they wrap the roadwork up on the Illinois side by 3 p.m. Next update at 6:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is going to be a mostly sunny day today with a high of 93. It'll feel like it's in the upper 90s, 73 overnight. 4th of July, Friday. Sunshine, hot, feeling like upper 90s. It's going to feel like it's over 100 on Saturday. Right now, it's just 70 degrees downtown.
Yellow police tape stretches in front of an apartment building in Peevely after a fire Sunday night. 12 tenants displaced as the city of Peevely has condemned Building 2 of the Ashton Place apartments. Dunklin Fire Chief Brad Williams says his firefighters were able to keep the flames contained to one apartment.
There was one female that was in the apartment where the fire was. She was transported with some burns to her body. She was taken to St. Louis. We had another female and 2 infants that were checked out by EMS on the scene.
Neighbors tell KMOX the woman had been smoking while using an oxygen tank. Chief Williams confirmed the woman is on oxygen.
We did see items, cigarettes in the apartment in boxes. We didn't find any ashtrays.
It's a showdown in the Midwest. Quick Trip from the west and Wawa from the east.
People know Quick Trip. It's one of the biggest convenience store chains in Missouri. They're based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're widespread throughout Texas. Whereas Wawa, people out east, they have a cult-like following based near Philadelphia. They're all across the east. Tons of stores in Florida. It'll be very interesting to see both brands bringing their very similar business models to very similar regions.
The chains are inching into each other's territory, meeting in the middle in small town Indiana. C-Store Dive reporter Brett Dworsky says the two are actually pretty similar.
Food is the main draw for their stores. Both brands know it. Their customers know it.
Quick Trip is upgrading its beverage dispensers and is introducing a store brand beer. Dworsky says while Wawa hasn't announced plans to enter Missouri yet, it does continue marching west.
Well, I can tell you that Wawa's got really good sandwiches. I did enjoy those while covering spring training down in Florida when I was driving.
I've never been to a Wawa, but I have been known to pop into a Quick Trip when I'm hungry and need something quickly.
And my wife's from Philly, or she grew up in Philly, so she would rave about Wawa and has to be excited about its arrival.
It's fun to say.
Yeah, it is fun to say.
I'm Sean Malone. The St. Louis City Police Department planned to crack down on juveniles getting crazy on the 4th of July with a new target.
Contributing to the delinquency of a minor.
I've got that story coming up.
Next, though, it's your money report at 6:34. The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs' attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising. If you're trying to sell a home, there's only one agent in town that I trust, Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
It is 6:34. This is Total Information AM, and it's time for your money report, sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. We get the latest from Bloomberg.
Good morning. The U.S. Justice Department wants a Texas judge to accept a proposed settlement agreement that was reached with Boeing that would allow the plane maker to avoid a criminal charge in a long-standing case over 2 fatal crashes of its 737 MAX jets. Federal prosecutors defended the deal in a court filing yesterday, arguing that it was made with good faith and will secure meaningful commitments from Boeing to make improvements. Family members of some of the people killed in the crashes have expressed opposition to the agreement. Starbucks is hoping money proves to be a powerful motivator for its executives. The coffee company is offering stock grants with a target value of $6 million to senior leaders who achieve key components of CEO Brian Nichols' turnaround. To earn the rewards, the executives will have to move quickly and keep costs under control. And TikTok continues to cut workers from TikTok Shop, its U.S. e-commerce division. The business has had 3 rounds of layoffs since April. TikTok did not indicate how many employees would be affected. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights, at home or at work. We'll make your happy place your own. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com. That's Viking.com. Viking.com.
Cards manager Ollie Marble joins the Gas House Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It's 6:39. Sean Diddy Combs was found guilty yesterday of 2 lesser counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, capping his weeks-long high-profile sex crimes trial. He was acquitted of all sex trafficking and racketeering charges, which carried potential life sentences. The convictions involve one anonymous woman and his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura Fine. Combs now faces up to 20 years in prison, with sentencing details to be determined later.
It's been 25 years since Nelly's blockbuster album, Country Grammar. It was released in 2000. He reflected on the genre-bending set during an interview with host Ebro Darden on New York's Hot 97.
I always wanted to keep different avenues. I've been very, very fortunate. If you listen to all the records, none of them sound alike, and all of them were fortunate enough to do different chart works, because I understood that this day was coming.
Nelly says the influences on Country Grammar ranged from R&B, rap, pop, top 40, and of course country. He said he's always loved country music, coming from the Midwest and being born in Texas, though he says when he suggested incorporating country into the album, people at the time said, "What the bleep are you thinking?"
Here's Roger Brand. He is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we look great on the highways so far this morning, folks. I am sure we're going to have a pretty light morning. This traffic reports the Service of Financial and Tax Strategies. If you're headed up on northbound 55, it looks good coming through McNutt. It looks great. 10 minutes ago, we had just a little bit of a slowdown between Bales and Weber. It's thinned out right now, so it looks great through there. There's just a little volume north 270 at Doherty Ferry. Tesson Ferry around Butler Hill just looks a little busy, so just a little volume here and there, but nothing significant or substantial. Southbound 61 coming down onto eastbound 70 or 64. They're both wide open coming out of Wentzville across the Missouri River bridges. Still no delays downtown across the Poplar or Muswell Veterans Bridges for Illinois drivers either. So quiet for you so far on both sides of the river. Next update at 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's never too early to start thinking about your retirement journey, and it's never too late either. You just need to know that the steps may look a little different. Listen to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg, Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
It is 6:41, and what would the 4th of July be if it wasn't just swelteringly hot? I'm sure we've had hotter 4th of July weekends. Joe Lundberg, our AccuWeather meteorologist.
Oh, we certainly have. If you look at, typical temperatures, we're supposed to be around 90. We'll be above that by a few degrees today and tomorrow. Record highs, I'm looking at the numbers for tomorrow, 105. That was set, 13 years ago in 2012. So, yes, it has been hotter, although 93 tomorrow and today and 97 Saturday, that's plenty hot. And each day will feature a lot of sunshine. Now, we get to Sunday, that's when things will change. A front will be approaching from the north and west. That should introduce more clouds to the forecast, trim the heat a little bit to the low 90s, and introduce the chance for thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon. With that front dawdling across the area Monday, even more clouds and even lower temperatures, probably staying in the 80s with a good chance for a shower and thunderstorm. Right now, clear at 70 in St. Peter, 72 in Florissant, sunshine 75 downtown at the Arch. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's 6:42. Downtown at the Arch is where they will have fireworks on tonight's show and tomorrow beginning at 9:40. Now, mayhem filled downtown St. Louis a year ago. Juveniles began shooting off their own fireworks and guns when 4th of July celebrations got out of hand. How does the St. Louis City Police Department plan to handle things this year?
Some of the approach from the St. Louis City Police Department will be the same as last year and with other major events.
We will have extra officers on patrol, also utilizing our mobile cameras that feed into the real-time crime center. Our extra officers will consist of officers you see and officers that you don't see that will be working in a plainclothes capacity.
At St. Louis City Police spokesman Mitch McCoy, he says the police department this year is launching a new, stricter strategy towards juveniles who shoot off fireworks in the city, with a new target they plan to crack down on: their parents.
Juveniles caught with fireworks will be detained, held, at which time we will be contacting a parent to have a parent pick that child up, and the parent will be cited.
McCoy lists some of the citations parents will face:
contributing to the delinquency of a minor, discharging fireworks. And if you don't pick your child up within 45 minutes, you'll be cited for that.
Asked how the police can say with certainty these citations will be filed before any juvenile has been arrested, let alone investigation pursued. McCoy said it's simple.
The investigation's pretty quick. One is they're shooting off fireworks. They're behaving poorly. We have to detain them.
The punishment for these citations could result in fines or imprisonment according to the city municipal code. McCoy says they came to this decision to target parents after many discussions around last year's chaos, which resulted in over a half dozen shooting victims and windows broken out by bullets and fireworks.
We felt as a department that this was the most appropriate and leveled response to ensure that we are keeping our community safe, but we are also holding parents responsible for being bad parents.
McCoy was asked what he would tell people who have the perception downtown isn't safe on the 4th of July. He points to this new plan.
The plan that we have allows us to quickly take juveniles into custody. There will be a area where parents will be picking their kids up, and it allows our officers to go right back out.
For Total Information AM, Sean Malone, KMOX News.
I'm Tom Ackerman. Meanwhile, on the 4th of July in Chicago, the Cardinals will be taking on the Cubs tomorrow. 1:20 start on KMOX from Wrigley Field, and the Cardinals need to find their offense and find it soon. They were shut out all 3 games in Pittsburgh. That hasn't happened in a decade. 2015, the Cardinals were blanked in 3 games against the Braves, but at that point, the Cardinals had wrapped up a playoff spot. If you recall, they won 100 games in the 2015 season. That was at the end of the season. So what now? Here's more from Ollie Marmol, Cardinals manager, on FanDuel Sports Network Midwest after a 5-0 loss in Pittsburgh yesterday.
I didn't mind our approach today. I mean, there's certain days I was going to stand here and tell you we just weren't good enough. Today, I didn't mind it. We just, not a whole lot went our way. Even some of the good swings like Vic and some others, they just ran it down. So not a whole lot you can do about that.
You see, while they approached you, do you see some of the fatigue setting in with some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, this is a needed off day. So we'll flush this series. Happens. We swept the last one, got swept here. We'll flush this one, get some rest tomorrow, and get ready for Chicago. We're looking forward to that one.
Cardinals are 5 games out in the National League Central, entering tomorrow's game against the Cubs. We'll see what happens in Major League Baseball today as the Cardinals get, as Ollie said, their much-needed off day. The United States men's national team won at Energizer Park in St. Louis last night, 2-1 over Guatemala, advancing to the Gold Cup final. Diego Luna delivered for the U.S. team with a 2-goal performance. Here he is with Fox's Jenny Taft after the victory.
Diego, congratulations on being man of the match. Look, the United States is heading back to a Gold Cup final. At times tonight, it wasn't easy. How did this group hold on for the win?
I think it's the grit, it's the determination that we've been lacking, to be honest. It's fighting to the end, every ball, every moment. The game's about moments, and I think this is where we showcase it. It's 90 minutes of, hundreds of moments, and you got to execute on each one.
You were the difference maker tonight, a first half brace. You've played with such confidence really throughout this whole tournament. Where is that confidence coming from?
No, yeah, I think it's just finding the rhythm, and I think, being able to get the freedom from the coaching staff and from the team that know that they're going to have my back, and the trust of the defensive responsibilities allows me to just do what I do on the ball.
How much pride do you take representing the red, white, and blue and wearing that crest?
Yeah, it's an honor. I'm extremely grateful, and I think every single one of these players, think about it the same way I do, is that this is the number one dream that we've had as a kid, and we're going to fight for this to have as many chances to wear it as we can.
See you Sunday. Thank you.
Diego Luna and the United States men's national team, they will play Sunday in Santa Clara against Mexico in the Gold Cup final, winning last night in St. Louis 2-1 over Guatemala. Energizer Park was overrun by Guatemalan fans. We'll have more on that coming up at 7:15. And the Blues got a good one. P.S. Suter is their new second-line center. They signed him to a 2-year free agent deal yesterday. The former Vancouver Canuck also played for the Red Wings and Blackhawks. Had 25 goals last year. I'm Tom Ackerman. Who's Hot, Who's Not, sponsored by St. Louis Composting, growing gardens, making memories, and what a terrific group they are at St. Louis Composting. I was looking at our yard today. I mean, the mulch still looks as new as when they dropped it down what was it, about a month or so ago that we got that. It looks great. You can order delivery of compost, soil, and mulch right now at stlcompost.com, stlcompost.com. St. Louis Composting has 9 locations in the St. Louis metro area. Compost, mulch, soil, custom soils, tree, lawn, and landscape waste drop-off as well. You can find their locations at stlcompost.com. All we did was go to that website, use their cubic yard calculator to figure out how much mulch we needed, and we ordered online, and they delivered right to our home. They have a great thing going right now at St. Louis Composting. They are the most trusted compost provider in the St. Louis area, stlcompost.com.
2 legendary bands, 1 epic night, Collective Soul, and Live are bringing the rock to St. Louis. Catch their summer Unity Tour at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater July 17th with special guest Graylin James Rue. Don't miss your chance to hear such hits as Shine, December, I Alone, and All Over You. Collective Soul and Live. Tickets can be found at Ticketmaster.com. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Now the news at 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, 6:50 and time for us to get you updated on your ride in this morning and the weather as we head into extended holiday weekend. Roger Branson, the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, things haven't heated up on the highways yet, Debbie, so that's great news, obviously. This traffic reports a service of Terrace Senior Living of Eureka. Northbound 55, you just got some, well, there are no delays in the work zones, even though they're out there doing the road work. But, McNutt to north of Revis, the Bayless River to Pear area looks fine. 64 between Winghaven and K. Fine. 270 at Ladue, you're good to go. Again, temporary road work will be picked up on the Missouri side by noon today. That's according to MoDOT. IDOT hasn't given an official word today, but normally their policy is to pick up their temporary road work. Of course, you can't move those concrete barriers out of the way if it's round the clock stuff, but the temporary stuff will be picked up by 3 this afternoon. And again, the interstates are lightly traveled on both sides of the river. The only place we have anything going on, North City, we had a fully engulfed building fire in the 5100 block of Wells near Academy, so restrictions there, but that's primarily residential. Next update at 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Check out the Terrace in Eureka for affordable senior living with 24-hour nursing supervision, delicious meals, medication management, and activities. The Terrace is affordable and will work with your Medicaid plan. Go to rspseniorliving.com and look for the Terrace Private Assisted Living.
AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says it is going to be hot, and that's just the way it is on the 4th of July here in St. Louis. Sunny and hot today, high 93. Temperature is going to feel like we're in the upper 90s. Tonight for the fireworks under the arch, a low of 73. It'll be clear and warm for that celebration. And then for tomorrow, all the 4th of July celebrations across the St. Louis region, it's going to be sunny and hot and humid. It'll feel like we're in the upper 90s. The hottest day is Saturday, actually. Real feels over 100 with sunshine and some clouds. Sunday, some thunderstorms in the afternoon, a high of 91. Currently, we have bright sun in downtown St. Louis. It's 72 degrees.
The news continues at 6:52. Times are getting tough for the St. Louis region's largest public company. Centene stock lost 39% of its value Wednesday. Centene reporting fewer people are enrolling in marketplace health insurance plans. It's getting less money from the federal government, and the Trump budget bill would slash the number of people covered on Medicaid.
Management expects a $2.75 hit to earnings per share this year, which is horrifying, given that as of the most recent update in late April, Centene was looking to earn more than $7.25 per share for 2025. So what are we talking? We're talking about a 35 to 40% hit to their numbers. No wonder the stock was eviscerated.
That's CNBC's Jim Cramer, who says Centene will likely have to raise premiums. Analysts say that could lead to an insurance spiral.
The Pew Research Center is out with a detailed analysis of voting patterns in the 2024 presidential election. KMOX religion editor Fred Bottomer tells us how people of faith voted.
So we're going to get out and vote. And that they did, as nearly 2/3, 64% of voters who attend religious services monthly or more voted for the then former President Donald Trump, while only about 1/3, or 34%, supported Vice President Harris. Trump won 62% of the Protestant vote, including 81% of the white evangelical vote. Catholics favored Trump 55 to 43%. Harris won 63% of the Jewish vote, while religiously unaffiliated voters continued to favor Democrats, with Harris picking up 70% of that vote. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
You may have noticed an increase in skunks in your neighborhood this summer.
June and July is when they give birth, so there's a lot of baby skunks around, and the mothers are working really hard to find enough food so they can take care of all their babies.
Drew Wallace, district field trainer for critter control in St. Louis, says skunks like to nest underneath porches, patios, low decks, and sheds. Wallace says they're mostly harmless, although they do dig for grubs, worms, and bugs. He stresses you should not startle them.
They can spray accurately up to about 15 feet away, and they only do that as sort of a last resort.
Wallace encourages homeowners to seek professionals who have humane methods to get them to move on and can provide preventive measures to keep them away. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
The lavish Venice wedding of Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos cost in the tens of millions of dollars. What do the average bride and groom pay for a destination wedding?
The average for those, $39,000. If you've got an international destination, think $41,000.
KMOX business analyst Jerome Katz says the overall cost for a Missouri wedding is $25,000, which is about 25% cheaper than the U.S. average. But he points out that doesn't include the ring or the honeymoon. I heard him tell Megan Lynch those are on average $5,200 each.
Wow.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement. It's your birthday.
Well, he was born on this date in Syracuse, New York in 1962. His breakthrough role was Risky Business in 1983. And then this mega hit.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
Tom Cruise is 63 today.
And the birthday shout out is sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated, RennerDoorSTL.com. Happy birthday wishes going out to Tom Wilhelm Jr., Daniel Spring from your St. Louis family, Michael Spring from mom and dad, Ron Jacober, Barb Higgins, and Kurt Ittner.
This is the best birthday ever.
Welcome to Willie's Wings, home of the secret sauce.
I'll take a dozen wings. Oh, by the way, I love that sauce. What's in it?
Can't tell you.
Why not?
It's a secret.
While many financial advisors claim to have the secret sauce, they don't. In fact, if their sauce is so good, why are they keeping it a secret? Steve All of the All Financial Group doesn't keep anything a secret. He knows there's much more to retirement planning than stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. He'll develop a strategy designed specifically for you. It's your own secret sauce for retirement. Call Steve today at 636-230-8824 for your personal portfolio x-ray. Call 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Fine, you want to know what's in the sauce?
Absolutely.
Tablespoon of paprika.
Really?
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. For over 30 years, St. Louis families have trusted Suntrup Ford Westport and Suntrup Ford Kirkwood as a proud, family-owned and operated dealership. We offer more than just great deals. We offer peace of mind. At Suntrup Ford, you'll find a huge selection of inventory to choose from, unmatched customer service, and our exclusive lifetime powertrain protection program. Visit in store or online at suntrupford.com. Save more at Suntrup Ford. Visit suntrupford.com.
Summer in St. Louis means one thing: Cardinals baseball. It's more than a game. It's an STL tradition. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the boom of the fireworks. It's the soundtrack to summer for Cardinals Nation. So grab your cap and glove and take your spot in the stands, because in St. Louis, baseball is more than a melody. It's our favorite song.
This is Victor Scott II, and there's something for everyone at Busch Stadium. Meet us at the ballpark on Sunday, July 13th, as the Cardinals take on the Braves. 20,000 fans ages 16 and up will score a slick retro warm-up jersey courtesy of Mercy, and 10,000 kids 15 and under can grab a one-of-a-kind Cardinals basketball thanks to the Pasta House Company. It's fun for the whole family. Don't miss it. Get tickets at cardinals.com/promotion. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, traffic's still on the go and looking good for you out there this morning, Debbie. Northbound 55 through McNutt's, fine. Up north of Bayless to River to Pear, everything's good to go. Northbound 270, 55 up through 44 and past 64 in Ladue in that construction zone. Everything is in good shape. 64 and 70 look good out west in Wentzville and downtown. We're clear westbound across the Poplar. Next update at 7:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
A St. Louis-based company becomes one of the big three of its industry. I'm Michael Calhoun with Who It Is.
I'm Sean Malone. The St. Louis City Police Department planned to crack down on juveniles getting crazy on the 4th of July with a new target.
Contributing to the delinquency of a minor.
I've got that story coming up.
This is Brad Choate. Something positive may come out of a traumatic brain injury case from years ago at a Mizzou frat party. Details in just a bit.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Mostly sunny today and becoming hot with a high of 93.
And with Debbie Monterey, I'm Tom Ackerman. Our producer is Frank Ladd. In the newsroom, Stuart McMillan. And coming up, sports. Cardinals, what the heck happened? They got outscored and shut out all 3 games. They go to Wrigley tomorrow.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The CBS News World News Roundup, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Stacey Lynn. There are likely some sleepy congressmen and women who were up all night debating President Trump's tax and spending bill. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has been bashing the bill on the House floor for over 2 hours.
This disgusting abomination, the GOP tax scam, guts Medicaid, rips food from the mouths of children.
CBS's Nicole Killian is on Capitol Hill.
Republican leaders and the White House work to win over key holdouts who oppose the Senate's changes to the measure.
I would say those meetings are having a big impact. Members are moving to yes. Donald Trump is the best closer in the business, and we're going to get it done.
After months of work in both chambers, President Trump's signature legislation is now poised to become law.
It could be up for a final vote later this morning. The president wants the bill on his desk by tomorrow. There was a deadly mass shooting outside a nightclub in Chicago last night. WBBM TV reporter Darius Johnson is at the scene.
A city source tells us this was an album release party for Chicago female rapper Mellow Bucks. This was the release of her new album, Hollyhood, and this was supposedly a private location. Witnesses say as people were leaving, a black SUV with multiple people inside pulled up and opened fire.
4 are confirmed dead, at least 14 injured. Sean Diddy Combs will stay in jail until his sentencing October 3rd. While he was acquitted of the racketeering and sex trafficking charges, he was convicted of prostitution offenses. Legal contributor Caroline Polizzi.
I think ultimately he's going to get a sentence that would include the time that he's already spent, that would include even up to October.
A wildfire northwest of Los Angeles spread quickly overnight.
The Madre fire started in the Los Padres National Forest in San Luis Obispo County yesterday. It has scorched more than 35,000 acres, making it California's largest wildfire so far this year.
We cannot do it alone in isolation.
Just this week, Governor Gavin Newsom urged President Trump to recall the National Guard troops he sent to Los Angeles so they can help prevent wildfires. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Stock futures are up slightly as traders brace for June's big jobs report, which will be out in less than a half hour. It's expected the economy added 110,000 jobs last month, less than in May, with the unemployment rate inching higher. What's the biggest number one hit wonder of the 21st century, according to Billboard? Heat Waves by Glass Animals tops their list. It spent 5 weeks at the top of the charts in 2022. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly. Save money on your next full synthetic oil change at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get a $15 prepaid MasterCard after rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for just $35.95. We can recommend all the oil change supplies you need. Shop your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome.
You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
New recyclable drink cup.
It is 7:04, and right now in downtown St. Louis, we've got 72 degrees with sunny skies. The news is sponsored by St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. I'm Debbie Monterey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. If your child is arrested with fireworks this 4th of July weekend, the St. Louis City Police Department plans on throwing the book at you.
Contributing to the delinquency of a minor, discharging fireworks, and if you don't pick your child up within 45 minutes, you'll be cited for that.
St. Louis City Police spokesman Mitch McCoy listing the citations they say parents will face if their child is arrested. McCoy was asked how he could say with certainty these citations will be applied before an investigation is complete.
The investigation's pretty quick. One is they're shooting off fireworks. They're behaving poorly. We have to detain them.
McCoy says this decision came because they felt it was the best response to keep the community safe while also holding parents responsible for, quote, being bad parents. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
This year's Celebrate St. Louis is today and tomorrow. Event chair Tim Mears says one item on today's agenda involves those who have served in the U.S. military.
We're doing a veterans recognition event. It'll have a stage presentation and then a really nice VIP experience for 10 veterans here in St. Louis that are thriving in what they do and really giving back and having a high impact to St. Louis. So we're going to recognize those 10 folks.
Also today, Russell Dickerson will perform Under the Stars, followed by a fireworks display over the Mississippi River. Friday, a salute to the troops, followed by music from Gavin DeGraw and a special Superman drone show leading into the fireworks finale. There is no charge to attend. Food and drinks available for purchase.
Well, it's a triple whammy for St. Louis County-based health insurance giant Centene. First, fewer healthy people are enrolling in coverage, leaving sicker and more expensive customers left. Second, Medicaid cuts are set to dramatically shrink Centene's customer base. And third, CNBC's Jim Cramer says the feds are looking at marketplace fraud.
Basically, there are some people who aren't eligible for these government subsidized plans, but they're allegedly lying and applying for them anyway. The Trump administration is intent on rooting out these bad actors. Most of us assumed it wouldn't be a big enough problem to truly impact the healthcare exchanges or the companies that run these plans, like Centene.
But it has, add on top of all of this, increasing costs for medical care generally, especially in big Centene states like New York and Florida. Centene stock sank 39% on Wednesday.
It is 7:06, and it's a crop processing giant. It's based in Chesterfield, and they get a big deal done. Michael Calhoun explains what that means.
Bunge has long been one of the biggest companies in St. Louis. The North American headquarters has been a staple of the St. Louis area. 2019, they moved the world headquarters from outstate New York to a brand new facility in Chesterfield. This acquisition of Netherlands-based Viterra not only bolsters Bunge in certain strategic areas, for instance, grain, oil seeds in the U.S., other markets, Canada, Australia. But what it does is it moves Bunge closer to those giant rivals, the ones that are household names, really, that you could probably name off. Cargill, which you can see one of their silos across the river from the Arch, and ADM, Archer Daniels Midland. Now you can put Bunge in their company, and you can see their headquarters as you drive past on Highway 40 in Chesterfield.
Gas stations are planning for a future without gas when you're instead sitting waiting to charge your electric vehicle.
So what are you going to do at a gas station for 45 minutes? You need to have good food on site. You need to have amenities on site, bring people there and give them a reason to stay. And QT and Wawa are more or less leading the charge with that on the food front specifically.
That is C-Store dive reporter Brett Dworsky saying Quick Trip and Wawa are two of the biggest examples of this, and now they are about to clash. The East Coast-based Wawa is expanding west, and the Western QT is expanding east. They are meeting in Indiana, but don't be surprised if the front of the battle eventually shifts to St. Louis.
It is 7:08. We need to check the roadways and the weather. Stay with us. It's Total Information AM on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Rolling hot dogs super fat on a fluffy bun. All beef hot dogs rolling in. Hurry.
'cause they're on the run. Pick your toppings anyway. Roll into this deal. Pick your two. Big Q2. Roll and mix a meal. Mustard relish, sauerkraut. Ain't no need to scream and shout. Get 2 all beef hot dogs and a Big Q for $5. Only at QT. More than a gas station.
Bill Walmsley interviews Chad and Lisa.
This property, for you to have done what you've done, won the award, changed it around, done all the re-up, has got to be worth a lot more.
We purchased for $8.275, and it's worth $19 million now. So
Wait, whoa. That is incredible. I can see why you won an award, and that's great.
Lifestyles Unlimited. Over 33 years teaching the real estate retirement roadmap. Text the word radio to 88007 for a $297 membership. Save $443 off the regular price. Text radio to 88007.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It's 7:10. Roger Brands in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, nobody's complaining about their drive-in this morning, Tom. I mean, it's great shape for everybody. I do see a little bit of volume eastbound 30 at the lights at Mauer Industrial or Ronning there as you make your way out of Fenton on eastbound 30, but no big deal. It's not slow up the hill from there to 270 right now. Northbound 55 through McNutt looks good. It looks great. North of Bayless up through River to Perry in the work zone. North 270 from 55 up through Gravois. No delays. It looks great at 270 both ways through the Ladue work zone so far. No backups on southbound 61 or slowdowns. Looks good down onto 64 or 70, which are both wide open. They're busier, but still speed limit traffic across the Missouri River bridges downtown, across the Mississippi. Poplar Musical Veterans Bridges, again, lightly occupied for you so far. And again, road work of the temporary variety, so that means the cones and barrels kind of stuff. That'll be picked up by noon today on the Missouri side. IDOT normally wraps up their stuff by 3 p.m. So if you get a little earlier start to the afternoon drive, it shouldn't be as much of an issue for you. Next update at 7:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Plenty of sunshine today. It'll be hot this afternoon with a high of 93, but AccuWeather real fuel temperature will get into the upper 90s to almost 100. It'll be clear and warm tonight, though 73. Tomorrow, Independence Day, sunny and hot with a high of 93 and real fuels in the upper 90s. For Saturday, sunshine and some clouds and very hot, high 97. The real fuels over 100. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, we've got sunshine and 72 degrees in downtown St. Louis.
It's 7-11. A bill designed to save the lives of hazing victims awaits Governor Mike Kehoe's signature. KMOX's Brad Choate reports a wide-ranging child protection package includes Danny's Law, named for the former Mizzou student who suffered brain injuries during a fraternity party where binge drinking took place.
David Bianchi, attorney for Danny Santuli's family, tells MissouriNet how Danny's Law provides an incentive for witnesses to act.
If you are the first person to call 911 and you stay on the scene until fire rescue and the police arrive, if you provide information to them when they arrive, which will help them treat the person who's in trouble, you will be immunized from prosecution under the existing hazing criminal statutes in the state of Missouri.
The only way Danny's Law does not go into effect is if the governor vetoes it before July 14th. He can sign it or let it become law without his signature.
Smoke quickly filling an apartment complex in Pevely on Sunday night caused an evacuation. Dunklin Fire Department able to contain the blaze to one apartment where a woman was taken to the hospital with burns. Here's Fire Chief Brad Williams.
Pevely did condemn the building. They're waiting for management was going to, I believe, have a company come in to clean the building.
Another woman and 2 infants treated and released at the scene. As to the cause, neighbors tell KMOX the woman had been smoking while hooked up to an oxygen tank. Chief Williams says that is still under investigation. His crew did find cigarettes at the scene, still in the box, though, and says no ashtrays were found in the room.
How did people of faith vote during last November's presidential election? The Pew Research Center took an in-depth look at voting patterns.
Nearly 2/3 of voters who attend religious services monthly or more voted for the then former President Donald Trump, while only about 1/3 supported Vice President Harris.
The votes are starting to come in. You got to get out and vote. And Catholics, you got to vote for me.
And that they did, with Trump picking up 55% of the Catholic vote, as well as 62% of the Protestant vote, including 81% of the white evangelical vote. Harris won 63% of the Jewish vote, while religiously unaffiliated voters continue to favor Democrats, with Harris picking up 70% of that vote. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
U-City native Nelly bristled when asked on a New York radio station whether he still supports Donald Trump.
I don't think I said that. I think I said I have respect for the office and whoever is in office. It was truly an honor because ain't none other president ever asked me to do anything. You know what I'm saying? Right. It doesn't mean you agree with how that president is moving. I never endorsed any president.
Nelly appeared on Hot 97 in New York and said, "I'll put whatever up me and Snoop Dogg do in the community and have been doing for over 20 plus years against any of you that are on here just talking trash." He was criticized after performing at one of Trump's inaugural balls.
The Cardinals and the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Let's get the latest. It'll be coming up tomorrow at 1:20. In the meantime, where's the offense?
With Ricky Horton, I'm John Rooney. The Cardinals have a day off today. They had a stretch of 15 games played in 14 days. And over that stretch, they went 9-6. But they were shut out all 3 games in Pittsburgh. And the story in Pittsburgh, 2 for 23 with runners in scoring position. And the Pirates won yesterday 5-0.
Very rare to get shut out all 3 games of a 3-game series, and that's what happened. The Pirates playing great baseball. They swept the Mets and then the Cardinals, and the day off today, very important for the Cardinals. They need it.
Well, the Pirates won 5 out of 6 against the Cardinals in Pittsburgh. The Cardinals are done traveling to Pittsburgh this year. It's off to Wrigley Field. A game tomorrow at 1:20.
Sonny Gray pitched pretty well yesterday, but now it's up to the Cardinals starters to get back on track and find the offense, too, and maybe the rest will do them good.
Miles Michaelis will be on the mound tomorrow, and we're on the air at 12:25 from Wrigley Field.
Miles will be our player to bank on, brought to you by Community America Credit Union, invested in you. He just has to be good tomorrow against the Cubs, as the Cardinals need a good start out of him. Here's manager Ollie Marmol.
Contreras out. At times we got Newt. Those are 3 key parts to our offense, and when you don't have them, it's tough to score. I felt like we actually put some decent swings on the ball today. We just couldn't find grass. I mean, everything we hit found a glove.
And no result. The Cardinals lose it 5-0. They get shut out in all 3 games in Pittsburgh. Clayton Kershaw recorded his 3,000th strikeout last night for the Los Angeles Dodgers in his 18-year career. He gets it done. He will make his next stop in his baseball career, Cooperstown. He is a surefire Hall of Famer. What a scene last night at Energizer Park in downtown St. Louis. The United States had a 2-0 lead on Guatemala. But listen here on FS1 as Guatemala starts to put the pressure on. You would think they were playing this game in Guatemala.
96, trying to become the lowest ranked team in FIFA's rankings ever to play in a final. It's a great move to cut inside. Ordonez, a chance now, and it's a goal. It's Escobar.
I mean, a wild roar as the Guatemalan fans came by the thousands. They arrived early. They stayed around for the last moments, but as it turned out, the United States beat Guatemala in the Gold Cup semifinal. Final score was 2-1. They advanced to Sunday's final in Santa Clara, California against Mexico. And the Blues have landed the second-line center that they coveted. They went out and signed Pius Suter, the former Vancouver Canuck who scored 25 goals last year. He gets a 2-year deal. Suter's a good one. He was ranked by TSN in Canada as the number 6 UFA out there, unrestricted free agent. So the Blues now have their second-line center in Suter, their fourth-line center in Nick Bjugstad, and they also traded for Logan Mailloux, sending Zach Bolduc to Montreal for the young defenseman. I'm Tom Ackerman on the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
104.1 FM, KMOX. News, talk, sports.
Cardinal Hall of Famer Jason Isringhausen and Eddie Scholler from the world-famous Fast Eddie's Bonaire.
Hey, buddy, have you came over and looked at the new Eddie at Fast Eddie's? I finally got a new item. You know, it's been decades.
decade, more like 40 years to figure out how to put a piece of shrimp on there with your steak.
I've known you for 40 years. You could have said something. Well, who'd have thought the Elwood could even get better? But we did it. We went and we made the Eddie. It's a foot-long serving turn.
Not that I needed another reason to bring the whole gang down there. I'm still going to order those Big Elwoods, the succulent peel and eat shrimp, the hot chick on a stick, and that famous Fast Eddie burger. And I'm always going to get one of those ice-cold frosty ones and listen to that live music on that patio every afternoon and evening.
Well, I just love adding another great item for everybody to come over and enjoy. When you come on over the beautiful Clark Bridge and look at the picturesque Mississippi River.
Picturesque. That's very eloquent.
Thank you very much.
Well, like Mr. Shannon says, if you're 21 and in the mood, come on over to picturesque Alton, Illinois, and see the very eloquent Eddie at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
We started Neovitin because we wanted to create a multivitamin for ourselves. That's why we focus on quality ingredients and formulas with our multivitamins. Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins are formulated with over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our 4-ingredient physician-formulated proprietary blend for the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins a try for yourself. Find them at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After proving the doctors wrong following my accident, I got back to baseball, started kicking field goals, and finally got paid as a pro kicker and ultimately became a leader in the marketing world. That's why I trust Renner Garage Door, exceeding expectations for over 65 years. They service, sell, and install top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Get your free quote today. Check them out at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
Now the news at 1 The Fun. It's the Dave Glover Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 7:20. This is Total Information AM. I'm Debbie Monterey, along with Tom Ackerman and Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it's an easygoing Thursday morning that feels like a Friday morning, Debbie. Obviously, if you're heading out the door onto different roadways, we do have some signal issues reported on 141 at 44. So just watch as you head through Fenton. Looking at it right now, it's just backed up at Merrimack Station through Interstate 44 to the north side, opens up there around Elam. So we'll see if that gets much worse. Right now, again, a little bit of a jam, but it's not bad. Northbound 55 still looks great in the work zones. McNutt, north of Bayless, 270 from 55 up through Gravois past 44, 64. The work zone around Ladou's fine, 64 and 70. Out west coming in from Wentzville, good to go. And you're still clear downtown, westbound across the Poplar and the Musewell Veterans Bridges. I know they were working at the 22nd Street exit on westbound 64, but the through lanes are open. No delays through there at this time. Next update at 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather forecast from AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg as Debbie and I are distracted by a cute puppy on our partners Fox 2 and the monitor.
Dog.
Mostly sunny and becoming hot, high 93. If I could turn the camera around for our viewers on YouTube, X, and Facebook, I would. Real feels in the upper 90s. Tonight, clear and warm, low 73. Tomorrow, Independence Day, plenty of sunshine. It's going to be hot for your 4th of July celebrations. Real feels in the upper 90s. Saturday, even hotter. It's going to feel like we're over 100 that day with a high of 97 degrees. Sunday, high 91 with a thunderstorm or two around, especially in the afternoon. Right now, it's 74 in Florissant, 73 in St. Peter's, sunny, and 73 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 7:22. The House is expected to vote on President Trump's tax and spending package this morning. The final vote may be coming soon. Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries has been speaking for hours to hold up the bill that the GOP is trying to push through. CBS's Nicole Killian reports the bill cuts Medicaid funding for millions.
The Congressional Budget Office estimates the Medicaid cuts alone could total roughly $930 billion, with at least 11.8 million people at risk of losing their health coverage.
This bill is a middle finger to working people.
If this bill passes, many of the tax cuts in this package would likely take effect as soon as this year, although some of the provisions like no taxes on tips or overtime are only temporary.
Amid reports of a likely U.S. brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, Hamas says more than 80 Palestinians were killed by Israeli fire overnight. Reporter Linda Gradstein has more from Jerusalem.
The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza said that among the dead were dozens killed while trying to access humanitarian aid. The Israeli army said it is investigating, but denied that troops are ordered to open fire on civilians. The incidents in Gaza come amid reports that both Israel and Hamas have agreed to an outline for a 60-day ceasefire in which some Israeli hostages will be freed and a large amount of aid will enter Gaza.
Sean Diddy Combs is still in jail after a mixed verdict in his criminal trial. A judge has denied his request to bail, pointing out to the defense's closing argument in which they admit Combs is violent. Combs was acquitted of the most serious sex trafficking and racketeering charges, but could go to prison for years after being convicted on 2 counts related to prostitution. With more, here's CBS's Jerica Duncan.
Sean Diddy Combs got down on his knees and bowed his head after he was found not guilty of federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges Wednesday. At other times, he put his hands to the sky. A guilty racketeering verdict could have meant life in prison for the 55-year-old. Though acquitted on the most severe charges, Combs was found guilty on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution.
And speaking of trials, there may be one coming soon in Chicago because an event last night where at least 4 people were killed, 14 others wounded in a drive-by outside a nightclub.
Grieving relatives have flocked to the scene in Chicago's River North neighborhood. The victims were leaving an album release party for rapper Mellow Bucks at the Artist Lounge when shots were fired from a black SUV. Police say there were multiple shooters. This Chicagoan is fed up with the violence.
The community needs to step up. Obviously, this is not just taking place on the south and west side of the black and brown communities. This is happening all over.
No arrests have been made. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
All 15 people aboard a skydiving plane survived when it crashed at a small New Jersey airport.
The small plane had just taken off from Cross Keys Airport in Williamstown when the pilot reported engine trouble, tried to circle back and land, but crashed into a wooded area. Andrew Halter is with the Gloucester County Office of Emergency Management.
Just the fact that we have 15 people that are still with us here today, some of minor injuries, I think is fantastic and remarkable.
First responders had recently conducted a mass casualty exercise at that airport. Halter says that helped the response. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Severe storms could mean trouble for holiday travelers. Tens of thousands have been stuck at airports after their flights were delayed or canceled. We get more from CBS's Chris Van Cleve at LAX.
The nation's airlines are hoping the 4th of July holiday will bring some independence from the severe storms along the East Coast that have delayed and canceled thousands of flights since Friday.
The cancellation started on Monday, and here we are, Wednesday morning. We can't fly back to Norfolk. There are no flights available.
American Airlines expects Sunday to be its busiest day of the entire summer. The TSA is planning to screen more than 18.5 million people around the July 4th holiday.
Your July 4th forecast, again, it's going to be a hot one. Real feels in the upper 90s. Travel shouldn't be an issue. It's just going to be hot. Make sure you hydrate, especially in those long travels. Probably a good idea to have plenty of water available in your vehicle as you're moving around the region. Saturday, sunny and some clouds. It's going to be very hot, high 97, real feels over 100. Then your travel back home after the July 4th holiday. Watch out for a thunderstorm or two around, especially Sunday afternoon could cause some issues getting back, a high of 91 degrees. Right now, it's sunny and 73 downtown at the Arch. The weather is sponsored by Fairmount Park Casino and Racing. Long Shots Restaurant is now open. Enjoy delicious food, refreshing drinks, and unbeatable trackside views. Fairmount Park Casino and Racing. Twice the action, double the fun. 20 minutes from St. Louis. It's 7:27. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
McKelvey Homes since 1898. And that's so great to say. They can claim, and they are absolutely correct, that they are Missouri's oldest home builder and the best. They are the oldest and most respected name in home building. McKelvey Homes, long-standing tradition of quality craftsmanship and exceptional value. They're committed to the highest standards of excellence at McKelvey Homes, whether you choose one of their thoughtfully designed communities or if you prefer a custom home on your own lot. McKelvey builds in the most sought-after locations, places where families truly want to live. They offer innovative home designs to suit every lifestyle and provide personalized service to guide you through every step of the process. St. Louis, St. Charles, that's McKelvey Homes. There are homes, I'm looking at them right now, listings all over the area. beautiful homes, McKelvey homes. I've walked through them with President Jim Brennan and felt like, wow, I'd like to live here. McKelvey Homes, building a tradition of excellence since 1898. Move up to McKelvey.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Summer is here. Time to enjoy baseball, barbecues, and the shade of your trees. When it comes to tree care, call the certified arborist at Gamma Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma. Protect your valuable trees from storm damage or devastating insects such as the emerald ash borer. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. For pruning, spraying, fertilization, or removals, call Gamma Tree Experts today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
It is 7:30 and we've got sunshine, 72 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Roger Brand is in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, they just called out EMS crews for a crash northbound 55 at the Mattis overpass. It was in the right center lane. They moved it over to the shoulder quickly, so there's no lane blockage now. But when the emergency crews show up, they may block the right lane. Right now, northbound 55 is slow north of Butler Hill, headed through Mattis. North of there, though, it's in great shape. Coming up through the work zone, Bayless to River to Perry, you look fine. There's more volume on eastbound 30. We'll call it approaching Mauer up the hill to 270. It's just a little slow. Some heavy traffic on Tesson Ferry at Concord School Road right now as well. Out in Wentzville, we look great. Southbound 61, eastbound 64, eastbound 70. No delays across the Missouri River bridges right now. South 270, a little busy just passing Olive. Westbound 64, the right lane's a little slow coming through Hanley to the inner belt. Downtown, we're still good to go westbound. No delays across the Poplar or Measure Veterans bridges, but we do have a minor crash. I believe it's on the shoulder, westbound 64. It's east of 157, but there's a little bit of a slowdown past that scene. Next update at 7:40 from the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny and hot today with a high of 93. Clear and warm tonight, low 73. Going to crank up to the upper 90s. At least that's what it's going to feel like on the 4th of July. And then Saturday, high of 97. Real feels over 100. Sunday, we could get a thunderstorm in the afternoon, a high of 91 with intervals of clouds and sun. Currently, it's sunny and 74 downtown at the Arch.
It's been a destructive spring with tornadoes, floods, and wildfires. Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe says the state team members have done an outstanding job this year helping families and businesses recover from an unprecedented string of damaging storms.
On Monday, Governor Kehoe extended a state of emergency through the end of August to further assist with recovery efforts and noted additional flooding from severe storms over the weekend in southwest Missouri. He says more than $22 million in FEMA and state emergency management assistance has been provided to more than 4,600 families in St. Louis City and County, as well as Scott County.
A report is shedding light on the leading causes of pregnancy-related deaths in Missouri.
The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services report includes data from 2018 through 2022. Analysts found mental health issues, including substance abuse disorders, to be the leading cause of death among pregnant women. The report finds cardiovascular disease to be the second leading cause of death among pregnant women. There were 350 pregnancy-related deaths during the 4-year period. The report found the mortality rate for Black women and those in urban areas to be higher, but that 80% of the pregnancy-related deaths were preventable. Sue Danielson, MissouriNet.
A former mayor of Grafton, Illinois, has died. Tom Thompson served 8 years in office and was once appointed by a governor to serve on the Central Port District's board. He also joined with nearly 24 other mayors in 2012 to form the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative, which still exists today. Thompson was 84.
Still ahead on Total Information AM.
KMOX continues to exclusively follow developments in St. Louis County Animal Care and Control. I'm Maria Aquino with the latest update.
It is 7:33.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. For over 30 years, St. Louis and St. Charles families have trusted Suntrup Buick GMC. As a proud family-owned dealership, we offer more than just great deals. We offer peace of mind. At Suntrup Buick GMC, you'll always find a huge selection of inventory to choose from, unmatched customer service, and every vehicle comes with our exclusive lifetime powertrain protection program. Visit in store or online at suntrupbuickgmc.com. Save more at Suntrup Buick GMC.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It's 7:35, your money report, sponsored by Busey Bank. Let's get the latest from Kimberly Adams.
Good morning. Stocks got a boost from President Trump's announcement that a trade deal had been reached with Vietnam. The president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond has seen nothing so far to suggest there's an urgent need to cut interest rates. Thomas Barkin telling Fox Business that the numbers on the economy are very solid. The latest round of layoffs by Microsoft affected hundreds of workers in the company's gaming division. A number of Xbox projects have been canceled, including some that had been in development for years. Microsoft has put the total number of layoffs company-wide at about 9,000. And extreme weather, scorching heat and heavy rains is keeping people away from amusement parks. This is a peak season for the parks, and it's off to the worst start since the pandemic. An analysis of cell phone mobility data indicates foot traffic is down at theme parks operated by United Parks and Six Flags. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
This is the run my own business dream. This is the colleges paid for dream. This is the retire early dream. This is Busey, where your dreams and possibilities become moments. Through trusted guidance and expertise, through lifelong relationships. Because we're here to help you achieve the life you've always envisioned. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
We know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust us to bring happiness home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Cards manager Ollie Marble joins the Gas House Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the Voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 7:38, and the news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. And a KMOX exclusive, we've spoken with a former employee who resigned from St. Louis County Animal Care and Control, and we asked the public health director for a response to the allegations.
Clinton Wall had been with ACC for 7 years. He started out cleaning kennels, then moved on to adoptions. He then became an animal control officer for 3.5 years. He was then promoted to ACO lead supervisor. The ACOs were also put back in the shelter doing chores that maybe other people would have done, like the volunteers or other staff members, but because they're so short-staffed, you were forced to do that. Is that correct?
Well, that is correct. And the reason that is still true to this day is because the transition, they decided to not hire a kennel staff and just use ACOs as kennel staff, but hire more ACOs, thinking that it would balance it out.
KMOX's Sean Malone asked Public Health Director Dr. Kanika Cunningham about Wall's allegations.
Multiple animal control officers have quit in recent days. How many, not volunteers, but animal control officers are right now working?
I'll have to find out the exact number. I don't know right now. I know we try to have ACLs on every shift because we do run a 24/7 operation, but I'm not sure how many we have at the moment that's currently working.
Do you have enough for that 24-hour operation?
Yes, we do.
Wall tells KMOX 2 more animal care and control officers resigned Tuesday, and that right now there is 1 person covering hundreds of miles in St. Louis County. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
It's time for traffic. Is there any out there, Roger Brand, overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center?
Well, we got a little bit of on a northbound 55 right now, Tom. This traffic reports the service of Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and that's northbound 55 near the Mattis overpass. From my vantage point, it looks like everything's over to the right shoulder now, but folks are still ducking out of the right lane because of this crash. And northbound 55, not a jam, but it is slow from south of Butler Hill up to that scene. Eastbound Highway 30, you've still got that slow traffic from a little west of Mauer or Ronning up the hill to 270. 21 Tesson Ferry at Concord School Road, backed up traffic. It looks like more so southbound than northbound there. 270 around Ladue still doesn't look bad. Eastbound 70, eastbound 64, and southbound 61 coming through Wentzville out across the Missouri River. Bridges are fine. Believe it or not, 64 in the Richmond Heights area, both directions. I don't see any delays there right now either. Downtown, we have some heavy traffic on Route 3 coming through Queenie and Monsanto. Looks like southbound's worse than northbound right now. Between Judith and Monsanto, really southbound more of a slowdown than northbound, but it is heavy there. But we're still clear downtown across both the Poplar and Musial Veterans Bridges. Next update at 7:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
You know, AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg, it's hot. We know that. The humidity makes things worse. Is that going to be the case here the next few days?
It will add to the discomfort factor. There's no question about that, Tom. Temperatures today will get up to about 93. Humidity level's not oppressive, but you're going to feel it if you're out doing anything during the heat of the day. Real field temperature probably 98, 99 this afternoon. Then a clear, warm night tonight, low 73. Independence Day, pretty much the carbon copy of today. Sunny skies, 93 or so for our high, and the real feels again in the upper 90s. Maybe a bit more of a breeze tomorrow, and that's about the only difference. Saturday, one more really hot day with sunshine and some clouds and a high of 97. However, we get to Sunday, and I think there's going to be a more cloud cover around with a growing chance for a thunderstorm throughout the day. That'll keep temperatures probably in the low 90s and may stay in the 80s with clouds, some sun and a chance for a shower thunderstorm on Monday. Up to 74 already in St. Peter, 76 in Florissant, sunny 77 downtown at the Arch. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hard to believe summer is now, I don't know, halfway over, and we're talking about the 4th of July. Matt Roush of TV Guide Magazine is joining us, and there's a lot to see on the TV.
Well, there is. If you don't like going out for the fireworks, there's plenty of ways to watch them inside from all over the country. One of the most traditional ones is the Capitol 4th that PBS is airing on the 4th from the west lawn of the Capitol. You've got Alfonso Ribeiro as the host, and a real nostalgic lineup, including the Beach Boys. I'm sure there'll be a tribute to Brian Wilson in there, and the Temptations. And, of course, at the end, when the fireworks go off over all the monuments, you get to hear the 1812 overture played by the National Symphony Orchestra. More modern-type stuff you'll see on NBC with the Macy's 4th of July fireworks spectacular. Fireworks like 20 minutes worth go off over the East River. But before then, you've got music from the Jonas Brothers and Trisha Yearwood and Lenny Kravitz and lots more. The CW is going to give you the Boston concert over the Esplanade with Leanne Rimes and Leslie Odom Jr. among the guests. And then I really like the fact that CBS takes the wide view. They're doing a special called The Fourth in America, where they're going to celebrations all over the country, including St. Louis, but also Philadelphia and Boston and Detroit and Nashville, New Orleans, Niagara Falls, all the way to Alaska. So you can see how the entire country is celebrating the 4th, not just the big cities, which I really like. So anyway, if you want to watch the fireworks and just see how everybody else is celebrating the 4th of July, there's many ways to do it on TV.
And we do love sharks in the summer. There's certainly plenty of sharks in the news these days, but it's Shark Fest time once again.
Well, it is. Once again, National Geographic getting ahead of Discovery's Shark Week. This time it's Shark Fest, which takes over maybe 2 weeks of television, but it begins on Saturday. And the first special is called Sharks Up Close with Bertie Gregory, where a cinematographer is showing us how he gets films of great whites off the coast of South Africa. You're also going to get nightly installments of a show called Investigation Shark Attack. Like you said, they're definitely in the news these days. And specials titled California Great Whites, Tigers in Hawaii, Bit in the Bahamas. And that's just the first few days. And if that weren't enough, Friday on Netflix, also on the 4th, you're going to be getting a new competition series called All the Sharks, in which shark experts go underwater and they compete to take photos of the most sharks. Whoever gets most photos of the most different types of sharks and even the most rare of sharks, they'll win $50,000 for their favorite charity. And if you wonder why the sharks are after us, maybe it's because TV cameras never leave them alone.
That would be annoying. It's like paparazzi for the sharks.
Exactly.
Matt Roush of TV Guide joining us here on Total Information AM.
I'm Tom Ackerman. It was one of the biggest games that the United States men's national team has played in St. Louis in decades, taking on Guatemala in the Gold Cup semifinals at Energizer Park last night. Fox Sports was in town to do the broadcast, and this terrific lead-in by Alexi Lalas.
St. Louis holds a special place in the heart of American soccer. This past Sunday marked 75 years since one of the greatest upsets in U.S. soccer history.
A ridiculous result for the birthplace of modern football.
USA 1, England 0 at the 1950 World Cup. 5 of the 11 U.S. players were from St. Louis, including goalkeeper Frank Borghi. Their legacy lives on in a mural honoring that team, and in a city that's always lived and breathed the game. But St. Louis soccer started long before that. In the late 1800s, immigrants brought the game to the city's streets and sandlots. By the early 1900s, local leagues thrived, and St. Louis clubs dominated the early U.S. Open Cups. St. Louis also built a college dynasty. From 1959 to 1973, the Billikens won 10 national titles, led by legends like Pat McBride and Al Trost. That tradition lives on. The Mac Herman Trophy, college soccer's top honor, is awarded here each year. Hey, I know that guy. Man, that was a lot of hair ago. In 2023, St. Louis City SC brought Major League Soccer to St. Louis. Finally. But the city's greatest contribution? The players. Generation after generation, raised on the game. This is Soccer City, USA, and it always has been.
Great tribute to the soccer history of St. Louis as St. Louis hosted the U.S. men's national team against Guatemala. There were thousands of Guatemalan fans in the crowd last night. They erupted when Guatemala scored in the second half to make it a 2-1 game, but Diego Luna's 2 goals held up, and the United States advances to the Gold Cup final for the first time since 2021. They'll take on Mexico on Sunday in Santa Clara, California, beating Guatemala last night 2-1. The Blues, they have themselves a new second-line center as they acquired him yesterday. Pius Suter, former Vancouver Canucks, scored 25 goals last season. They signed him to a 2-year deal. The Cardinals are at Wrigley Field tomorrow for a 1:20 start. Yesterday, they lost again, this time 5-0 to the Pittsburgh Pirates. They were shut out all 3 games in the series sweep. Manager Ollie Marmol on the approach.
Each game was a little different. Today, I actually liked some of the swings we took. It was just right at people. You look at how they scored their runs. A lot of it just found holes. O'Brien comes in, gets the exact ground ball we need him to get. It hits off his glove. That's right at Donnie. So
maybe the luck will turn this time around when they go to Wrigley. 1:20 start tomorrow. 3 games, July 4th, 5th, and 6th against the team they trail in the standings by 5 games in the National League Central. Ins and Outs, sponsored by Innsbrook Resort, where every day is the weekend. Innsbrook-resort.com if you want to see them all. The picture on my screensaver on my phone is of a lake at Innsbrook and my daughter kayaking off in the distance. Just such a cool place. I mean, imagine being out on the water on a nice calm day, just by yourself on a kayak, and, maybe you want to throw a little line in the water, catch a fish, or maybe you just want to do some sightseeing. I mean, it is a beautiful place to relax, Innsbrook. Now, I will say this, tomorrow at Innsbrook is going to be nuts. I mean, there are a lot of people that will come in for the fireworks display. They claim it to be the best and biggest private fireworks display in the state of Missouri. And I've seen it, and I think they're right. It's an incredible display over Aspen, one of their 2 largest lakes. They have over 100 lakes, 7,500 acres at Innsbrook. It's an amazing place, just 45 minutes from our house here in St. Louis, an hour from downtown, Innsbrook-resort.com. Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. This is National Cancer Survivor Awareness Month, and we are joined by Dr. Lindsay Peterson.
They're emotional needs, they are financial needs, they are physical needs, spiritual needs. So really, we have to look to address all of these different areas because they can be quite impactful for patients throughout their journey.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
KMOX and 97.1 FM Talk are proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan Charity Clay Shoot, happening Thursday, August 7th at Straffleman Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinal standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebrities for a day of clay shooting and community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who have served.
Total Information AM. The news continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, let's see what's happening on your ride in this morning. And Roger Brand is joining us from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, really the only place we're seeing delays right now, Debbie. It's been a light morning pretty much for everybody. On the south side, though, for the most part, is where we're seeing a little bit of volume now. We have a little bit of a jam up. We had a crash, I believe, northbound 67 north of Buck Creek. There's a backup past Buck Creek, a jam on northbound 67. Opens up about midway up to Highway Double C. Then once you hit 55, this crash is on the shoulder now. It was in the right lane, but still on the shoulder. Northbound 55 at the Mattis Overpass, north of Butler Hill. Traffic bogs down, approaching Butler Hill on northbound 55. North of there, though, no delays in the work zones north of Rivas. Tesson Ferry at Concord School Road. Southbound more so than northbound, a little bit of a backup there. Eastbound 30 better up the hill from Mauer to 270. Westbound 64, Big Bend, Hanley area, the right lane's just a little slow getting to the Interbelt. Eastbound 64 is not an issue in downtown. We're still clear westbound across the Poplar. I do see a little bit of a backup northbound Route 3 between Queenie and Monsanto. It's slow, even past that point up to about 8th Street. Next update at 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather forecast from AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says it's going to be hot. 93 today, 95 tomorrow, 97 Saturday. Real field temperatures will climb as well, upper 90s into over 100 on Saturday. Sunday could be a thunderstorm or two around, especially in the afternoon, a high of 91. Otherwise, we're just dealing with heat and humidity through this holiday weekend. It's sunny and 75 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 7:52. U.S. employers added 147,000 jobs in June as the American labor market continues to show surprising resilience. The unemployment rate ticked down 4.1% from 4.2 in May. Hiring rose modestly from a revised 144,000 in May and beat economists' expectations of fewer than 118,000 new jobs and a rise in the unemployment rate.
Earlier this hour, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries on the floor of the House asking for Republicans to help stop the passage of the massive spending bill that supports President Trump's domestic policies.
All we need is 4 Republicans to show John McCain levels of courage when it comes to protecting the health, the safety, and the well-being of the American people.
Parents will be cited this weekend by St. Louis City Police if their children are arrested for setting off fireworks. Police spokesperson Mitch McCoy says parents will be held responsible for their children's actions.
If you drop your child off in downtown St. Louis, face the consequences of what could happen if your child engages in bad behavior. You, as a parent, will be cited.
The citations include contributing to the delinquency of a minor and discharging fireworks. Parents may also be cited if they don't pick their kids up from juvenile detention within 45 minutes. The punishments for the citations include fines and potentially imprisonment.
Tariffs may impact your wedding bells next year. KMOX business analyst Jerome Katz says brides and grooms should read the fine print.
If you've already signed a contract in 2024, your prices for a wedding this year are probably locked in, and you may be safe from added surcharges. On the other hand, people who have signed contracts in 2025, particularly since President Trump started mentioning tariffs, may find clauses that let the vendor add a tariff cost to be paid by the couple.
Katz also points out most wedding dresses are made in China, so bridal stores are shifting sourcing to minimize tariff impacts.
Have you noticed an increase in your neighborhood this summer of skunks?
June and July is when they give birth, so there's a lot of baby skunks around, and the mothers are working really hard to find enough food so they can take care of all their babies.
Drew Wallace, district field trainer for critter control in St. Louis, says skunks like to nest underneath porches, patios, low decks, and sheds. Wallace says they're mostly harmless, although they do dig for grubs, worms, and bugs. He stresses you should not startle them.
They can spray accurately up to about 15 feet away, and they only do that as sort of a last resort.
Wallace encourages homeowners to seek professionals who have humane methods to get them to move on and can provide preventive measures to keep them away. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Wanted to pass along this important message from the St. Louis Fire Department, putting out a post saying it isn't just about noise, it's about safety. After the tornado, homes are still severely damaged in St. Louis. Roofs patched with tarps, walls exposed, debris scattered. If you're still planning to light fireworks nearby, one careless act could devastate families still reeling from the tornado. Just one spark could ignite the materials left behind. One wrong move could destroy what's already damaged. The St. Louis Fire Department is asking you to please leave fireworks to the professionals, attend a professional display, keep kids, pets, and neighbors safe. Let's not trade one disaster for another, says the St. Louis Fire Department at 7:56.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the sponsor of our traffic reports, the sponsor of the Garage Happy Hour back in the day. Remember that show? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis has been in my garage for quite a long time. They're the largest piece of moving equipment in our home, the garage door that they put in, and they tune it up. They also attached an OHD Anywhere app to it, so I can open and close the garage door from my phone. I know when it opens and closes. It's a great thing to know that Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is watching over our garage door, which provides safety, security, curb appeal, energy efficiency, all of it. They also have a great team that has been doing this for almost a century. They invented the overhead garage door. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis did. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is the one with the red ribbon, so you know that you're not being confronted by an imposter. You know that the original, the original Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is there for you. It's 314-781-5200, or just go to overheaddoorsstlouis.com. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Mark Cantor at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, so I take this very seriously. Mark is a great attorney. He has a great team. He is from St. Louis. He is local. Call 314-628-9999 or visit cantorinjurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Here's Roger Brand. He has the latest from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, all our issues are on the south side right now, Debbie. That crash is still on the shoulder, northbound 55, just before the Mattis Road overpass. Northbound 55, just slow at Butler Hill. Still have a jam northbound 67 from south of Buck Creek, about midway up to Double C. That's where they had a crash recently. And now Hunting Road at Old Sugar Creek, there's an injury wreck as well. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's warming up, sunny and 75 downtown at the Arch. I'm Tom Ackerman, and these are the stories making news.
This is Megan Lynch. If commercial grocery stores won't move into this Metro East community, the town decided to build its own grocery store using state grants. Find out more after CBS and KMOX News.
I'm Debbie Monterey. Parents will pay the price if their kids shoot off fireworks in downtown St. Louis.
Missouri teachers are fighting plans for the state to fund private school scholarships.
Two big convenience stores will be fighting to win Midwest travelers' loyalty.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Sunny today and hot this afternoon, the high 93.
No baseball today. The Cardinals play tomorrow at Wrigley Field at 1:20. It's 8 o'clock in Mid-America.
Winner of 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards, including Overall Excellence. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Stacey Lynn. We begin on Capitol Hill, where House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is using what's called his magic minute to delay the vote on President Trump's big tax and spending bill.
I feel the obligation, Mr. Speaker, to stand on this House floor and take my sweet time to tell the stories of the American people.
That minute has lasted more than 3 hours now.
All we need is 4 Republicans to show John McCain levels of courage when it comes to protecting the health, the safety, and the well-being of the American people.
Republican Jason Smith is pushing for the bill to get to the finish line, though.
It's about restoring sanity in a town that's lost it, cutting waste and reining in reckless spending. It demands that if you're able to work, you should.
That bill could be up for a final vote later this morning. The latest jobs report is now out and beat expectations. 147,000 jobs were added in June. That is up from May. Economist Archie Hall.
It reflects a job market that remains still pretty robust, pretty strong. And as the Federal Reserve looking at this, I'd feel a bit vindicated by my decision to kind of hold off doing anything too dramatic and sort of stick to a wait-and-see approach.
The unemployment rate was down slightly to 4.1%. There was a deadly drive-by shooting outside a nightclub in Chicago late last night while people were leaving an album listening party. 4 people were killed, at least 14 injured. Street pastor Donovan Price described the scene.
People wanting to find their other people, find who was alive, finding who was, where their phones were because they dropped them in the chaos.
15 people were hurt when the small skydiving plane they were in crashed in a wooded area near an airport in Williamstown, New Jersey. Andrew Halter is with the Glassboro, New Jersey Police Department.
The injuries have varied from minor to critical. Many patients that were coming out of the aircraft were covered in jet fuel. So a decon area was established by fire and hazmat crews.
Federal authorities are investigating. Well, the holiday travel rush has begun, but severe storms could cause some problems. CBS's Chris Van Cleve is at LAX.
People lined up here well before 4 this morning local time, trying to get their trips on the way, and getting out early is probably the best bet, because as we look to the mid-afternoon, that chance of thunderstorms ramps up on the East Coast.
And the TSA is expecting to screen more than 18 million travelers over the holiday weekend. That could be a record. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. We offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options. Visit progressive.com today.
At 8:03, we have sunny skies, 76 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Thursday, July 3rd. I'm Megan Lynch. The 4th of July, the St. Louis City Police Department is planning on issuing citations to parents of juveniles arrested with fireworks.
St. Louis City Police spokesman Mitch McCoy says they came to this decision to target parents after numerous conversations following last year's chaos downtown.
We felt as a department that this was the most appropriate and leveled response to ensure that we are keeping our community safe, but we are also holding parents responsible for being bad parents.
Amongst the citations McCoy says parents will face include contributing to the delinquency of a minor, discharging fireworks, and not picking up their child from the juvenile detention center in 45 minutes. The punishments for these range from fines to imprisonment. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
And we go in depth on that story at 8:24 this morning. The St. Louis Riverfront Independence Day celebration is a 2-day festival this year, today and tomorrow. Celebrate St. Louis General Chair Tim Mears tells KMOX there will be fireworks both nights starting at about 9:40 each night. The Friday night display will have a special drone show starting about 15 minutes before the fireworks.
We're partnered with Warner Brothers Studios in its anticipation of the release of the Superman movie that comes out on July 11th. Probably going to see Superman fly in front of the arch right over the riverfront while we're down there.
This year's top musical acts are Russell Dickerson on Thursday night and Gavin DeGraw on Friday night. There is no cost to attend. Times are getting tough for the St. Louis region's largest public company. Centene stock lost 39% of its value Wednesday. Centene reports fewer people are enrolling in marketplace health insurance plans. It's getting less money from the federal government. And the Trump budget bill would slash the number of people it covers on Medicaid.
Management expects a $2.75 hit to earnings per share this year, which is horrifying, given that as of the most recent update in late April, Centene was looking to earn more than $7.25 per share for 2025. So what are we talking? We're talking about a 35 to 40% hit to their numbers. No wonder the stock was eviscerated.
CNBC's Jim Cramer says Centene will likely have to raise premiums. Analysts say that could lead to an insurance spiral.
I'm Michael Calhoun. One St. Louis County-based company is becoming a powerhouse through acquisition. Bunge closed a deal to purchase Netherlands-based Viterra. The $34 billion merger makes Bunge one of the biggest crop trading and processing companies in the world. Bunge CEO Greg Heckman, in a company-produced video, says,
"Our talented and agile team, along with our enhanced global footprint and diversified agricultural network covering all major crops, enhances Bunge's ability to navigate seasonal cycles, weather risks, and more."
Bunge is now on par with agribusiness giants and household names Archer Daniels Midland and Cargill.
Heavy black smoke quickly billowed through an apartment building in Peevely Sunday night after a fire. A woman in the basement apartment had burns and was taken to the hospital. Neighbors tell KMOX she was smoking a cigarette while on an oxygen tank. Dunklin Fire Chief Brad Williams says they're investigating that.
She was on oxygen, and we did see items, cigarettes in the apartment in boxes. We didn't find any ashtrays. So, and there was people that said that she actually did not smoke while she was in her apartment. She would smoke outside.
The city of Peevely has condemned Building 2 in the Ashton Place apartment complex, meaning 12 tenants are displaced. A former mayor of Grafton, Illinois, has died. Tom Thompson served 8 years in office and was once appointed by a governor to serve on the Central Port District's board. He also joined with nearly 24 other mayors in 2012 to form the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative, which still exists today. Thompson was 84. The Pew Research Center out with a detailed analysis of voting patterns in the 2024 presidential election. KMOX religion editor Fred Bottomer tells us how people of faith voted.
We're going to go to church or we're going to get out and vote.
And that they did, as nearly 2/3, 64% of voters who attend religious services monthly or more voted for the then former President Donald Trump, while only about 1/3, or 34%, supported Vice President Harris. Trump won 62% of the Protestant vote, including 81% of the white evangelical vote. Catholics favored Trump 55 to 43%. Harris won 63% of the Jewish vote, while religiously unaffiliated voters continued to favor Democrats, with Harris picking up 70% of that vote. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
Coming up on Total Information AM, a Metro East town couldn't get anyone to come in and build a grocery store, so they're going to build their own and own it. I'm going to speak with Venice, Illinois Mayor Phil White Jr. coming up in just a few moments. We do have traffic and weather in 2 minutes. It's 8:08.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After proving the doctors wrong following my accident, I got back to baseball, started kicking field goals, then finally got paid as a pro kicker and ultimately became a leader in the marketing world. That's why I trust Renner Garage Door, exceeding expectations for over 65 years. They service, sell, and install top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Get your free quote today. Check them out at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
When we started Neovitamin back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovitamin Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitamin Original Formula multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitamin.com.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley telling you about i3 Broadband. You've heard me talk about them. They provide the internet in my home. I love them so much. The reliability is great. Let's talk about price for a moment, though. They've got an introductory rate at $19.99 a month for one of their service options. No bundle ever required. You're going to save $10 a month over the cable company. They've got great pricing on all of their different packages, going up to 8 gigs upload and download speed, always mirrored. See if they're available in your neighborhood. Put your address in at i3broadband.com.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Total Information AM. Debbie Monterey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman on 104.1 FM KMOX.
8:10 looks like it's pretty quiet on the roads unless something new has popped up. Let's check in with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, it is, Megan, on the main highways. It's been light all morning long. It's just on the secondaries where we have some issues. I'm working on one of them right now. I mentioned it earlier about signal problems on 141 at 44. I can't tell if they're I think if they're on red flash, doesn't matter if they are, if they're completely out, but I think they're on red flash. 141, just on the north side of 44. Northbound 141's jammed back to about Centurion right now, a little back up at Poles. We still have issues on Tesson Ferry, Concord School, southbound more so than northbound. Still have a jam, northbound 67. That crash north of Buck Creek, it's still backed up about midway up to Double C through that area right now. And that crash is still on the shoulder near the Mattis overpass. Traffic's just slow from about Butler Hill up to that particular point. Hunting near Old Sugar Creek crash. Turns out it's minor, so it shouldn't cause you too much problems. Other than that, interstate-wise, we're in good shape for you right now on both sides of the river. Like I said, it's been light all morning long. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX AccuWeather, mostly sunny today and becoming hot this afternoon with a high of 93, but AccuWeather real fuel temperature will reach the upper 90s. Clear and warm tonight, though 73. Independence Day will be sunny and hot with a high of 93 and real feels in the upper 90s. For Saturday, sunshine, some clouds, and very hot, high 97, real feels topping 100. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Currently, we have sunny skies, 77 degrees both in Florissant and St. Peter's, 76 degrees downtown at the Arch. You're listening to Total Information AM. I'm Megan Lynch. Residents of Venice, Illinois have no local grocery store. Many have to take a bus to another community to stock their pantries, but that is about to change. The community is building a new municipally owned grocery store thanks to a $2.4 million grant from the state of Illinois. I had a chance to find out more from Venice Mayor Philip White Jr.
There is a severe need for a grocery store. The closest grocery store we have is in Granite City, Illinois, and it's probably about 6 miles up the road, 5 to 6 miles up the road. And I can remember me growing up here as a kid in Venice. We had a grocery store, so there's definitely a need for a grocery store in our area, and we're considered to be a food desert.
What would it mean for the community to have something right there?
It would be so important because I know a lot of people don't have transportation, even though there is public transportation, but to have something locally where you can just go up to the store, hey, if you need to get some seasoning real quick, just run up the street to get it, pick it up. I think, that's important for a lot of residents, because, having to go to Granite City to get groceries, it kind of takes away from what you're doing. And it just brings a feel of neighborhood, I think, knowing that you have your own local grocery store. So I think, I know the citizens are very excited about it. They're really looking forward to it. And I think we should be able to sustain and support the new grocery store.
How did Venice get this award?
Good question. So years ago, when the governor first ran for his office, he came through Venice on his campaign trail and kind of seeing the area, how impoverished it was. He kind of, scoped out that, hey, this area needs some help with different things. And that's kind of how we got on the map of needing, a transformation of our neighborhood. I mean, Venice was once a thriving area. And that's kind of how it started. So we kind of were on the radar with the governor. And when they were looking around the county, around the state on those impoverished areas that would need some funding, he did not forget about Venice down in this area.
So is this new construction or a renovation of an existing building there?
Brand new construction. Yes, ma'am.
So how long will it take, to get that process through and actually have a building completed for this?
So they're anticipating breaking ground in October, and they're thinking probably about, I'm estimating, they didn't want to give a concrete time because, you never know what's going to happen with some roadblocks, but I'm figuring maybe a couple of months it should be completed. But like I said, I know October is the wish date, I'll say.
Now, this is municipally owned. How will it operate?
So we have an investor who would operate. He will be setting up the team to run the store, getting the distributors, and part of the grant is that we own the land and we own the actual building. But what would happen, the individual who's running the store and then actually investing some more money into the store, he would sign a lease with us that way, because I think you see sometimes grocery stores, they come in, if they don't make the profit, they up and leave. But he would be committed to us for many years in order to run the store, so we won't be left high and dry.
Will there be any other subsidies? Because I know sometimes when we look at small grocery stores and communities, sometimes they can't compete with the prices that some of the big chains can offer.
When you say so that $2.4 million, that's going towards the building and the construction, but there is some private money that is being invested also. And like I said, they're reaching out to, they're meeting with manufacturers and distributors, looking at costs that can be, where the prices can be comparable to some of the bigger grocery stores. So that's kind of the scope on how they want to do this grocery store, so it where it isn't too high price for the residents. So it will be real competitive with prices. So, people will be able to afford their groceries, even though groceries are high everywhere, but they will be able to afford what's being placed in the store.
Mayor, I'm curious if you think this will spur other businesses once this is in place.
Well, I can tell you this, it already has, because we are in a big redevelopment phase. We're getting ready to start. We actually have completed the demolition of cleaning out the areas for 40 new homes. And that they're figuring at breaking ground probably in a couple of months on that, because they cleared some of the houses and the parcels of land where they're going to develop their homes. They're going to bring in like a strip mall. They're going to bring in like a pizza world. So those are some of the things that's on the table down the line, bringing in an urgent care facility. So there's a lot of things on the table for Venice, and Venice would probably be the model of a transformation of an inner city. So there's a lot of things on the table, and it's exciting time around here in Venice, Illinois.
Have you seen in other urban areas where this kind of model has worked, bringing in a municipally owned building for a grocery store?
That's a good question. I personally cannot pinpoint where I have seen that be successful, but I have seen where some of these groceries that are privately owned come in, and once they get their profit, they leave. I've seen that over in St. Louis before, just on the news and riding around in that area. But I think this model would be successful, so we don't run into that problem. But, to specifically answer your question, I can't say that I've actually seen. Do I think it will work? Yes, I do.
That's Venice, Illinois Mayor Philip White Jr. joining us this morning here on KMOX. Coming up next, parents will be on the hook if their kids shoot off fireworks in St. Louis City this 4th of July. Sean Malone will have a report coming up. Let's get a check of the roads now again with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, look good out there, Megan, on the area highways. Just traffic reports a service of Amazon. There's still just a hint of a slowdown northbound 55 around the Mattis overpass where we had that earlier crash on the shoulder. That cleared that crash, and the delays are now gone. 67 coming through Buck Creek, midway up to Double C. Still have the signal problems. 141 at 44, northbound 141 still jammed about Centurion down the hill there into Valley Park at this point in time. And southbound's not as much of an issue, but again, it looks like the signals are on red flash there. Eastbound 70 and 64 great through Wentzville. 64 both ways around the Interbelt's lighting on the go downtown. We're still clear across the Poplar and Musial Veterans Bridges as well. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Thank you, Roger. Mostly sunny, hot today, a high around 93. Clear and warm tonight with an overnight low of 73. And then for your 4th of July, sunny and hot, we'll have real feels in the upper 90s. Right now, we have sunny skies, 76 degrees in downtown St. Louis.
Brought to you by Amazon.
This Prime Day, July 8th through the 11th, you can get a great deal on a new foot spa, transforming you into the queen of kicking it.
Wait, this has bubble jets. Okay.
Shop great deals this Prime Day, July 8th through the 11th.
Hi, it's Margaret from Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano. Life is change. An election, an illness, a death. And questions. What about my family, my retirement, my estate? Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano stand ready to help you plan for your life changes and protect what matters to you. They have listened, planned, and executed thousands of estate plans, taxes, and legal documents for over 30 years, right here in St. Louis. Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano make it easy to get started. Go to their website, yourestatematters.com, and request their free webinar. It focuses on simple legal strategies and their process. Then schedule your free personal consultation. Life is change. Plan now. Your estate matters because you matter. Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano, yourestatematters.com. Choice of an attorney is an important decision that should not be based solely on average.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. That's the sound of the mayhem that was downtown St. Louis a year ago after juveniles began shooting off fireworks and guns when 4th of July celebrations got out of hand. So how does St. Louis City Police plan to handle things this year?
Some of the approach from the St. Louis City Police Department will be the same as last year and with other major events.
We will have extra officers on patrol, also utilizing our mobile cameras that feed into the real-time crime center. Our extra officers will consist of officers you see and officers that you don't see that will be working in a plainclothes capacity.
At St. Louis City Police spokesman Mitch McCoy, he says the police department this year is launching a new, stricter strategy towards juveniles who shoot off fireworks in the city, with a new target they plan to crack down on: their parents.
Juveniles caught with fireworks will be detained, held, at which time we will be contacting a parent to have a parent pick that child up, and the parent will be cited.
McCoy lists some of the citations parents will face:
contributing to the delinquency of a minor, discharging fireworks, and if you don't pick your child up within 45 minutes, you'll be cited for that.
Asked how the police can say with certainty these citations will be filed before any juvenile has been arrested, let alone investigation pursued, McCoy said it's simple.
The investigation's pretty quick. One is they're shooting off fireworks. They're behaving poorly. We have to detain them.
The punishment for these citations could result in fines or imprisonment, according to the city municipal code. McCoy says they came to this decision to target parents after many discussions around last year's chaos, which resulted in over a half dozen shooting victims and windows broken out by bullets and fireworks.
We felt as a department that this was the most appropriate and leveled response to ensure that we are keeping our community safe, but we are also holding parents responsible for being bad parents.
McCoy was asked what he would tell people who have the perception downtown isn't safe on the 4th of July. He points to this new plan.
The plan that we have allows us to quickly take juveniles into custody. There will be a area where parents will be picking their kids up, and it allows our officers to go right back out.
For Total Information AM, Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Still ahead on Total Information AM, what do people who work with human trafficking victims think of the Sean Diddy Combs verdict yesterday? We're going to get more on that coming up at the bottom of the hour.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Hey, it's Matt, your Leaf Filter Trusted Pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Your home sold guaranteed, or I'll buy it. Hi, I'm Gloria Liu, broker owner at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And for over 20 years, I've been getting my home sellers the most money for their home and selling faster than the average agent. So when you're ready to sell your home or have questions, call me.
And I'm Debbie Monterey. For years, I've been telling you about Gloria Liu and why you should call her. Gloria has solutions and programs for every seller because she understands that every situation is different. Call Gloria and get your free instant home valuation, choose from multiple cash offers, or sell with certainty this summer because Gloria will guarantee upfront and in writing to sell your home at 100% of market value, or she will pay the difference. Hey, the St. Louis market is shifting. Now is a great time to call and get to know Gloria Liu like I have. Call 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. We can reawaken any space to make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Chris Ronchi, Amy Mark Scores. The Chris and Amy Show.
I would just like to say you guys are awesome. I've just been turned on to this since it's been on 104.1 at the FM dial, and I think you guys make me laugh, and you're informative. I just love you guys' show. You guys are amazing.
The Chris and Amy Show. Weekdays at 9 on 104.1 FM KMOX and the free Odyssey app.
Thimerosal concerns. I'm Fred Bottomer with 60 Seconds to Better Health. The CDC's Vaccine Advisory Panel voted to stop recommending flu shots that contain the preventative thimerosal. Fox News senior medical analyst Dr. Mark Siegel.
96% of all flu vaccines don't have it. What the preservative thimerosal is used for is bundling vaccines together, which makes it cheaper and preventing bacterial contamination. But back in the 1990s, they made a big push to get it out, and 96% don't have it. So for the vast majority of people in the United States, it's not even an issue. Now, thimerosal is based on ethyl mercury, which the body clears much more rapidly than it does methyl mercury, which is in fish and in the environment. And a huge study out of Denmark in the 90s, which looked at the entire population of kids born over the 90s, most of the 90s, didn't show an association between thimerosal and autism. So there's clearly no proof relaying it, but taking it out was out of an abundance of caution. I think that's fine. I think it's fine that it's out, by the way. But Dr. Cody Meisner, head of pediatric infectious disease at Tufts, who's on that panel, thinks that it's completely safe. And I actually have interviewed him a bunch of times, and I think he's reputable.
With 60 Seconds to Better Health, I'm Fred Bottomer.
This isn't your typical lunchtime baseball chatter. This is the Gas House Gang.
I'll say this. Here's my perspective.
Tom Ackerman, Chris Ronchi, Mike Claiborne, and Bernie Miklasz bring smart, informed Cards talk. And every Tuesday,
we welcome in the manager of the Cardinals, Oliver Marmol.
You want real Cardinals conversation? You're in the right place. The Gas House Gang, weekdays at noon on 104.1 FM KMOX, the voice of baseball.
Let's check the roads now with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we're looking great on the highways, Megan. We have all morning long. This traffic reports the service of the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. The only place we have slowdowns, northbound 55, still a little slow through Mattis, where we had that crash on the shoulder. And there's also a slowdown I'm seeing westbound 70 as you come off the Mutual Veterans Bridge out through Madison. I can't see if there's something blocking, but it's a little busy there. We still have those signal problems. They're on red flash, from what I can tell. Northbound and southbound 141 on the north side of 44. Northbound 141 jammed back through Centurion. Southbound, just a little delay at the signal. Not as many people going southbound this time of day. Rest of the interstates, though, have been in great shape. At Penn Mutual, we believe that life insurance is the central part of a sound financial plan and that it can make an enduring impact for generations to come. Talk to your independent advisor or go to PennMutual.com/STL. Penn Mutual, trusted for life. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Thank you, Roger. We are going to have a hot forecast as we head into the 4th of July. Mostly sunny, hot today, a high 93. And that could make temperatures feel like they're actually in the upper 90s today. Clear and warm tonight with an overnight low of 73. For Independence Day, plenty of sunshine, hot again with real feels in the upper 90s. And then for Saturday, sunny, some clouds, another hot day, a high of 97 with real feels over 100. Right now we have sunny skies, 76 degrees downtown at the Arch. The jury in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial yesterday convicted him of prostitution-related crime, but cleared him of sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Our Odyssey sister station, KNX, spoke with Michelle Heater of the nonprofit Waymakers, a group that works with victims of human trafficking.
Were you surprised at all by the verdict and how it split?
I can't necessarily say that I was surprised. I am not myself a legal expert. However, in working alongside the criminal justice system at both the state and federal level, it really has been our experience in victim services that it's hard to really predict how things are going to pan out when it comes to the criminal justice system. So in our role, we help to provide as much information as possible to victims and those that are supporting them so that they can understand what's happening as well as understand verdicts.
Given the work that you do, I mean, what do people need to understand about sex trafficking and really what that entails?
I think a lot of people don't understand that in this case and in several others, there is this tremendous power imbalance. And when the trafficker or the person imparting the crime commits these crimes, they are in this position of power. And when you're needing to make a decision about whether you're going to do what they ask or what's truly in your best interest under force or fear, coercion, duress, threat of physical injury or psychological warfare, it's near impossible to be able to make an informed choice and to really consent to what is happening and what is going to potentially happen to your body as a victim. And a lot of people turn to things like victim blaming. Oh, if it was me, I would have just walked out the door. Or, oh, if that was me, I would have. And there's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda that happens in the public eye. And I think we do a disservice because we oversimplify what it is that the victim is going through. And so if we can align with victims and truly understand their experience and work with survivor voices, we can be better at understanding truly what's going on in these situations.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that the judge cited in denying Diddy bail today was his history of violence and the violence towards his former girlfriends.
I think that is an important point. What we have found in the cases also in the County of Orange is that the perpetrators of human trafficking do more often than not have histories of violent crimes. And understanding that this isn't a one-time thing that has happened. This isn't something that just happened overnight. This tends to be something that is a pattern that is able to be documented historically, either through legal records, police records, or witness account of what's happened. So I think that is an important point when we are talking about perpetrators of these types of crimes, including human trafficking.
That's Michelle Heater of the nonprofit Waymakers, and of course the 3-time Grammy Award winner convicted of flying people around the country, including his girlfriends and paid male sex workers, to engage in sexual encounters. The maximum possible sentence is 10 years in prison.
At California Psychics, we know that sometimes you can wake up thinking,
I don't know if I'm in the right career, or the right relationship.
But whatever your life dilemma, at California Psychics, we'll give you the guidance you need to feel certain about your life choices. And because we only connect you with the very best, we guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. California Psychics. Call 1-800-PREDICT today and get 20 minutes for just $20.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
8:36 at 104.1 FM KMOX. Time for your money report. It's sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Kimberly Adams.
Good morning. It was a mixed close on Wall Street yesterday. A tiny downtick for the blue chips made that possible. The Nasdaq rose nearly 1% and the S&P 500 gained 0.5% and closed at a record high. Tesla saw its shares climb close to 5% yesterday after reporting sales had declined 13% in the previous quarter. Analysts say investors are betting that EV sales have bottomed. The June employment report will be released before the start of the abbreviated pre-holiday session on Wall Street. The consensus among economists is that about 106,000 workers were added to payrolls last month, while the unemployment rate ticked up to 4.3%. OpenAI needs more energy as part of its Stargate initiative to beef up its AI infrastructure, so it's renting 4.5 gigawatts of computing power. That's massive from Oracle's data centers. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM KMOX.
This is Tom Ackerman. Let's raise a glass to everybody on the 4th of July. I hope everybody has a safe and fun holiday weekend and hope that Budweiser is a part of it. Enjoy responsibly. The Budweiser
brand has been here since 1876. It is a great, delicious lager to celebrate. And Budweiser is proud to continue a 15-year partnership with Folds of Honor. Folds of Honor is an organization rooted in supporting military families in need. You know, service never stops, and neither will Anheuser-Busch and the great Budweiser brand. This year, proceeds from every 12-pack of Budweiser and Bud Zero, every one sold, goes directly to Folds of Honor. This Bud's for you. Not to mention, Budweiser is the official beer sponsor of Major League Baseball, and as we all know, we have a big weekend of baseball coming. Budweiser, crack open a Bud. This Bud's for you.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
KMOX and 97.1 FM Talk are proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan Charity Clay Shoot, happening Thursday, August 7th at Straffleman Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinal standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebrities for a day of clay shooting and community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue, and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who have served.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
For all station contest rules, go to KMOX.com/rules.
Sunny skies, 80 degrees at 104.1 FM KMOX. Here's what's happening. People across the U.S. will be out tomorrow celebrating Independence Day. Law enforcement on high alert to keep festivities safe. The Labor Department says the economy added more jobs than expected in June, while the jobless rate also edged down. And Republicans in Congress have advanced a bill cutting clean energy tax credits. Coming up on Total Information AM, Michael Calhoun has a special report. 2 big convenience stores are set up for a showdown in the Midwest. We'll tell you more about that. First, though, we need to get you updated on the roads with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Megan, this traffic report's a service of McKelvey Homes, and the highways are doing great for you this morning. Really, we haven't had much in the way of problems. We do have a little bit of a delay right now, though, on eastbound 64 as you come through Clarkson Road, trying to get a view of it. I don't see anything currently, but there's a little bit of a backup there on eastbound 64 if you're heading through the area. Just be advised of that. We also have a little bit of a slowdown downtown on westbound Highway 70 from the Musial Veterans Bridge midway out to the McKinley Bridge. That looks like it's getting better, though, so whatever they had there must have cleared. That crash is still on the shoulder. Northbound 55 at the Mattis overpass, there's still a little slowdown there. And we still have the signal problems. They're on red flash. 141 on the north side of 44. Northbound 141 still a solid jam from Centurion. Southbound, not much of an issue. I'm Roger Brand of the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Thanks for listening to Total Information AM this morning here on 104.1 FM KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. St. Louisans know all about Quick Trip. If you travel to the East Coast, though, you've surely seen a Wawa. Now the pit stop juggernauts are meeting in the middle. KMOX's Michael Calhoun gets the details with C-Store Dive reporter Brett Dworsky.
Both companies are moving into the Midwest, notably Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio, very quickly. They're both opening their first stores there. They've both touted broad expansion plans there. So it's happening, and it's happening very fast.
How would you describe both QT, which, of course, again, we're familiar with, and Wawa, which St. Louisans maybe not as familiar with, and any differences between, the tiers that the two are in?
Sure. So they have extremely similar business models. For starters, both chains have about 1,100 stores in their networks. They are both very food service focused. They both put tons of effort and focus into their made to order kitchen programs, their grab and go food programs, having kitchens inside their stores, ready prepared on site. Food is the main draw for their stores. Both brands know it, their customers know it, and they've even dabbled in fuel-less stores in the past. Both brands have, which has been hit or miss across the industry in general. Their concepts are very similar. Difference-wise, up until recently, again, they've mainly operated in completely different regions of the country. Obviously, in Missouri, people know Quick Trip. It's one of the biggest convenience store chains in Missouri. They're based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're widespread throughout Texas. Whereas Wawa, people out east, they have a cult-like following based near Philadelphia. They're all across the east. Tons of stores in Florida. It'll be very interesting to see both brands bringing their very similar business models to very similar regions.
Yeah, and I think that, for instance, if you like to go on Business Insider and read those, we take you inside this retail or restaurant chain kinds of stories, there's a lot of Wawa there. It's Wawa versus Sheetz and Wawa versus Buc-ee's, but not a lot of, Quick Trip in there. We hear a lot about, the Wegmans, for instance, grocery stores of the Northeast, but Schnucks not necessarily as much. Do you think that's just because it's East Coast, or is there something different about Wawa that makes it better, especially now that you've been to both on the same trip?
Sure. That's a good question. Something that Wawa has that a lot of other convenience store chains don't have. And although I live in the Midwest, I live in Illinois, people out east who love Wawa tell me this all the time. They don't think of Wawa as a gas station. They think of Wawa as a place to grab lunch. And that is something that this industry is really striving for in 2025. Very aggressively, from big companies, again, like QT and Wawa, even companies like 7-Eleven and Circle K are trying to do this to make their stores a destination for people to say, hey, instead of McDonald's for lunch, let's go here. It's a thing in this industry, the focus on food, and Wawa, more than arguably any other convenience store chain, has that type of audience. People go there for food. They think of it as a place to grab food instead of just a place where they're filling up on gas and to stop in for a candy bar.
Now, QT is getting in our ears with the commercial about their tacos these days. But I'm wondering, since you've tried both of these and you've talked with people, especially in this Indiana town who've tried both, is the food good at these gas stations?
That's not for me to answer. I try to remain as objective as I can, but I have tasted both foods at both of them. They were satisfactory for me, looking to grab a quick bite to eat as I was on the road. But generally, from people who I spoke with at both locations, they really liked their food. Someone who I spoke with in the town of Daleville, Indiana, where both QT and Wawa opened their first stores about half a mile apart from each other in the state, told me that he works late night hours supervising Domino's stores. And he goes to both getting food because they're open late night, and he likes the quality of their foods, their sandwiches, their hot foods, their milkshakes. So I would say to people in the area and people who are fans of both chains, their food's probably pretty good.
So what happens next, especially with Wawa? Could we expect them to push further west and maybe enter the St. Louis metropolitan area? Are there some areas where Quick Trip really has kind of fortress markets that a competitor might be afraid to get into, and would St. Louis be one of those?
Sure. That remains to be seen. At C-Store Dive, we've been tracking Wawa's aggressive expansion for some time now, a few years. They are looking to essentially double their store count, or when they announced these plans to double their store count a couple of years ago, they outlined plans to reach, again, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, moving further west. Missouri, not in those plans yet.
I also find interesting that with both of these chains, it's not just people saying, yeah, I like to go there. People are fans of both of these two companies.
Yeah, they really enjoy them. As I said, and QT has a very similar draw in its markets that Wawa does as well. People really like to go there. They like spending time in the stores. They like the food. It's a big deal in this industry right now to make C-stores more of a destination driver, right? Especially with electric vehicle charging on the rise. C-store retailers that are putting charging in their forecourts, if anyone has an electric vehicle, they know to charge takes maybe 30, 40, 45 minutes, right? So what are you going to do at a gas station for 45 minutes? You need to have good food on site. You need to have amenities on site, bring people there and give them a reason to stay. And QT and Wawa are more or less leading the charge with that on the food front specifically.
Can you tell us about the Bevolution, as Quick Trip is calling it?
The Bevolution, I love the term. So yeah, Quick Trip is rolling out a refreshed dispensed beverage program. As you said, they're calling it the Bevolution. They have new fountain tea and frozen drink machines. I believe going to all of their stores across their roughly 21 states. They're trying to make beverages more consistent and give shoppers more customizable options. That's kind of a big trend in the industry right now, customization across not only beverages, but food as well. Having options to add what you like to what you want. And with their beverages, QT has taken advantage of that.
A lot happening when it comes to those pit stops, whether it's Wawa pushing west and Quick Trip pushing east. We've got Brett Dworsky, senior reporter from C-Store Dive with us. Thank you so much, Brett, for getting us up to speed on this. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
Lifestyles Unlimited member Lisa appreciates having mentors who have her back.
Having the faith to move forward, and y'all have everything provided. I could call a mentor and say, hey, I don't know what to do. Someone is always there to guide you. I have backup.
Lifestyles Unlimited, over 33 years teaching the real estate retirement roadmap. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join now for $297, a 60% savings. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
It doesn't take a lot to make a big difference.
That's why we've teamed up with Jerry Kelly Heating and Cooling to bring you 100 acts of kindness.
For the next 6 months, the Chris and Amy Show is challenging you to spread kindness in simple, meaningful ways. No big budget needed.
Write a thank you note, help a neighbor, surprise someone with a smile. It all counts.
Let's prove that kindness is contagious. Share your acts with us by using hashtag 100KindActs.
Because a little kindness goes a long way.
You're listening to Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch, and I'm joined this morning by media expert, Webster University instructor Julie Smith. Julie, thanks for being with me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
I want to talk about influencers, but not just any influencers. Apparently now they don't even have to be real anymore.
They don't have to be real. In fact, if you are one of Lil Miquela's 2.4 million followers on Instagram, are you aware that it's actually an AI created account and that this person does not actually exist?
Is it based on a real person?
No.
Not at all.
No. And that's what is so interesting and slightly scary about this, because the avatars of these real people, right, they look real. And, AI is getting better every day, right? So it's getting harder and harder to tell. But they create unrealistic beauty standards. I mean, not necessarily more than human influencers do, but the difference is that these accounts and these AI bot influencers, they can be scaled. They can be really localized. They never take a sick day, right? They can be used over and over and over again. They can work 24/7. And I think that a lot of brands have already reached out to these accounts because of the sheer numbers of people that they reach. So who do you pay then? Do you pay the person that generated the AI? Like, who owns this? There's so many interesting questions now that come up from these issues.
The thing that I have to think of, so from a company standpoint, if you are talking about your brand, you don't have to worry about an AI generated character likely having any scandals.
Oh, that's true. And you can tell them exactly what to say, right? You don't have to worry about hearing them any trouble that they get into or controversial things that they say.
So I can see a brand just doing this on their own, just creating their own influencer. What do they have to put out there on social media saying that this AI chatbot, this AI avatar, is actually pitching a product? Is there any requirement for that?
Well, there's requirements for real people when they do it. But what they do is really interesting, at least the real people. They'll put, 50 hashtags at the end of their post. And in the middle of those 50 hashtags is a little tiny hashtag that says ad, right? So Instagram and those platforms do want the people to be honest when they're pitching a product. But in many cases, like with these AI influencers, the brands don't even tell people that they're AI. And, we've talked before about parasocial relationships, right? You spend so much time with somebody online, you feel like you know them. There's a good chance that people have parasocial relationships with entities that don't actually exist. It's so weird.
It's just another example, too, I think, of distorted reality
Completely.
for
Completely.
people who would follow anybody like this, who might be totally unaware.
Completely unaware. It's another thing that blurs the line between reality and fiction. And this, that phrase could be used to describe most of our media today, right? And so that's why we have to be hyper vigilant.
That is Julie Smith, media literacy expert, joining us this morning here on KMOX.
The death of a religious broadcasting icon. I'm Fred Bottomer with Report on Religion. Televangelist Jimmy Swaggart died this past week at his home in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at the age of 90.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
Jimmy Swaggart begged his Lord and his wife for forgiveness in 1988 after he was caught on camera with a prostitute in a New Orleans hotel room.
I gave my heart to Jesus Christ.
Jimmy Swaggart was a key figure in the rise of American evangelicalism at a time in the 60s and 70s when its political and cultural influence was expanding.
CBS Evening News co-anchor John Dickerson.
Mortality is going to put on immortality.
Swaggart's fire and brimstone sermons had won him millions of viewers who, over the years, gave generously to his ministry, helping him build an empire once estimated to be worth millions. Enough to support a mansion, a private jet, and luxury cars. A far cry from his humble beginnings in the small Louisiana town of Faraday.
On your sons and your daughters.
Jimmy sang and played piano, a talent he shared with his rock star cousin, Jerry Lee Lewis.
Will the ministry continue?
After violating the adultery commandment, Swaggart was defrocked by the Assemblies of God Church for refusing to enter a rehab program. 3 years later, he was caught with another prostitute. But this time, he was defiant, telling congregants, "The Lord told me it's flat, none of your business." 2 weeks ago, he suffered a heart attack and never recovered.
According to his ministry's website, Jimmy Swaggart preached the gospel of Jesus Christ on television longer than any other American evangelist in history. With Report on Religion, Fred Bottomer, CBS News.
I'm sure you're wondering what the 4th of July forecast is going to be like for you. It's going to start out hot today, mostly sunny with a high of 93, and it's going to feel like it's in the upper 90s. Clear and warm tonight with an overnight low of 73. And then for your 4th of July tomorrow, plenty of sunshine, hot. It's going to feel again like it's in the upper 90s. Saturday, pretty much the same thing. Sunny, hot with real feels over 100. And then for Sunday, we'll have a mix of clouds and sun. Warm and humid on Sunday. We could have a thunderstorm or two around, especially in the afternoon. You can expect a high Sunday around 91. By the time we're back to work on Monday, a mix of sun and clouds, warm and humid. Thunderstorms still possible with a high of 87. Right now, sunny skies, 79 degrees in Florissant. It's 80 in St. Peters and 80 downtown at the Arch.
The Washington Post ranked the top 50 airports in the United States. Guess where Lambert, St. Louis ranked? Plus, it's Thursday, so we'll chat with CBS Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett. It all starts at 9 a.m. on the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax